Sessions presents A Peter Griffin Christmas, featuring such standards as
everybody look at the snow in the yard.
and who could forget
I brought these gifts for you, they're up in my bum.
and everyone's favorite
La 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 la, la 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 la, look at the bells, look at the bells. Holy crap, here comes Jesus, and he doesn't look too happy. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Well, all right, everybody. Jigs and Bigs, Bobby Roast Beef here. We have a crazy episode this week. Guys, I have an interview that's been kind of sitting on the back burner now for a little while. Finally got around to getting it done, and it's a good one. Guys, I am joined this week with Paul Glass and Jeff Burlingame. You guys might know them better as the Aggressively Average Anglers. They're all over YouTube. They got a podcast happening. They're all over all the social platforms, and man, they have a huge change up coming in 2024. You guys don't want to miss it. We got a whole bunch of stuff to talk to. Otherwise, I got information about the 200th episode. I've got information about Columbus, Ohio. All kinds of great stuff that you guys are not going to want to miss out on. It's a short but very, very, very sweet episode this week. Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll get to it. Let's go ahead. We'll make this thing happen right about now. All right? We'll see you on the other end of this.
Happy freaking holidays to you, know what I mean?
Anyway, thanks so much, everybody, for being part of the show. Appreciate you. I am not joined this week by Sean the Fisherman or by who the fuck is Joe Brown. Why? Because
I fired them both. I relieved them of their duties as of the Christmas holiday.
no, I'm just messing around. Actually, this week I figured what we would do, just because the scheduling for recording the show and everything was just kind of crazy. I said, guys, I happen to be sitting on a really good interview this week. I said, don't worry about adjusting your schedules or anything like that. I know it's going to be chaos trying to record on Christmas Eve, which would suck to do a live stream for all of you guys and all that stuff. So we just opted instead this week. I would go ahead, record the show, and do this portion on my own, and then give you guys this amazing interview that I had with Jeff and Paul. What a fantastic interview, by the way. We get into the details. They dropped a pretty significant video on their channel just last week. And what they were talking about is their sort of approach to how they're handling sponsorships and, working as influencers in the industry. And they're taking a different sort of approach to it in 2024. And I have to applaud them on it. I think that they're doing something really, really fantastic. I think that they're looking at this in a new sort of light, and I think that this is a good thing. And it could be a great sort of example of maybe the way that we should operate as content creators. Who knows? But you'll have to get to all of that stuff in the interview with them. Like I said, it was amazing. Really, really looking forward to future stuff going on with Aggressively Average Anglers, the podcast, the YouTube content, the stuff on Instagram, the stuff on TikTok, you name it. They're all over the place, and they're just good dudes. So glad to have it. I'm going to go ahead and get right into it, guys. So my initial reason for thinking about this, I texted Sean and Joe, and I said, guys, unless you've done something that's like really remarkable this week for fishing, and you've gone out maybe, or maybe there was some discovery tackle wise or something like that we can actually roll into the show. I was like, don't worry about doing the show this week. I got this. We'll talk about it. I say that because we're at the point right now where it's just if you're in the Northeast in our area, it's getting harder and harder to find open water, and it's not even that like, oh, ice fishing is on the way.
Wrong.
It's not like that at all. It's just this skim ice seems to be everywhere, and it's really, really cutting into the ability to get out and fish. And what ends up happening is now that you have that real estate like getting more and more narrow, what's available, all the rivers and stuff, a lot of these spots are, folks are already out there, so you got to be vigilant. You got to get out there and make it happen. It is tough in these streets. You know what I'm saying? If you're looking to try to get a bite, man, it is a challenge. But people are getting it done. They are getting it done. I am sitting here right now, the eve of Christmas Eve, and I had been doing some running around today in the area. I had a lot of stuff to tie up as far as how, I had to get some items for food that I was bringing to Christmas Day, our Christmas Day celebration over at my folks' place. I had to pick up, of course, I needed some beer. I wanted to make sure to get out and pick up some really, really, really good seasonal beers. And I figured I'd dive in right now while I was hanging out with you guys. A few weeks back, I had talked about a little get-together, a Christmas get-together with my cousins that had happened. And we had pulled names and put, handmade gifts together for each other. And I was gifted this awesome gift bag of all kinds of good fishing stuff. I got some new pliers, a new scale, some lures, soft plastics, all kinds of really cool stuff. A couple of new beer glasses too, and a bottle of like one of my favorites. And this is a porter. It's from Berkshire Brewing Company, BBC, not that BBC. Get your mind out of the gutter. Berkshire Brewing Company. They've been making beer in the Pioneer Valley and Western Massachusetts area for a long, long time. They before it was kind of the hip thing to do, they were making it happen. And it was kind of novelty to drink local beer back then, or at least local beer in my generation. This is their coffee house porter, and it is just, chef's kiss. It's so good. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take a nice big pull right now out of I'm drinking this out of my Hookset Hoodlums coffee mug, which is just, it's the perfect companion. It's so good. It's so good. And they use great coffee from Dean's Beans, and they're another Western Massachusetts staple. I'm living my best life. I did get out one day this week to try to fish, and I'm telling you, man, it's like, it was just you're playing games with where the open water is available. And I keep trying to, make a point to get out to a couple of the rivers that I had been fishing. Actually, last year I'd fished a lot of the Swift River for a good chunk of the winter, and I just got to get off my ass and just get out there and go for it. We are starting to actually see a real turn in the weather where, the solstice was just on, I think, Wednesday or Thursday, and which is a good thing because that means that we're on the road to more daylight, which could be cool. But with the weather trends that we've been experiencing, we've been getting into the teens overnight, which has a whole lot of significant impact on the ice-making conditions. So it won't be long. I think we're probably going to see some safe ice shortly if it holds up the way that it has been. I don't know whether we're going to see too much snow this week, but it's going to be kind of nuts. Other stuff that I've done this week, like a lot of like running around for Christmas, tying things up. I had the last 2 gifts I needed to pick up were this week. And then I had a couple more. No, I'm sorry. The last 4 gifts I had to pick up were this week. I keep buying shit for my wife, damn it. And I keep we said a number of years ago that we were just not going to buy for one another. We were just going to do stocking stuffers. And this year that kind of fell from the wayside a little bit. So it'll be interesting. I didn't go too crazy or anything like that, but I would be out and I would see something, or I'd be online and I'd see something. And specifically, man, I'll tell you what, these online advertisers, they got my number because I got her some really, really nice customized stuff that is right in her wheelhouse. So I don't know if she's going up to the Amazon Echo in the kitchen and she's like,
I need more dog related, more Boston Terrier related novelty items.
And they just keep showing up. It's ridiculous. So here it is. We're getting by. We're making it happen. One big expense I had this week is I had gone out and I put a new set of tires on the 4Runner, on the old green pumpkin, and it was I'm just over 50K. I had passed my last inspection, which was just about 3 weeks ago. Not an issue, but I knew that, with winter coming, and these tires, though they passed inspection, the stock tires aren't great, and they were getting close. It was getting real close. I was curious if I was going to pass inspection or not, but they did. So I made the decision I was going to start looking around at tires. I had a few ideas of what I wanted to do. Now, keep in mind, I'm not really, I'm not like a big like rock crawler guy. I'm not a roader. I'm not really into like off-roading like that, as you can tell from the story this last summer, getting stuck with my family. So I'm like, I just want some more slightly capable tires on here, something that's a little bit more aggressive, but I also want to keep it very focused on being my daily driver, because that's what this vehicle is. So like, I'm getting out off-road in the terms of like gravel roads and like maybe some mud and, some puddles and things like that. Nothing crazy, nothing like huge ruts or anything like that where I got to really, really worry about it. Like if I have to put it in 4 low, that's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of where I'm at. And I stumbled on these tires. I actually went to Costco, of all places. We have Costco memberships, and we do a lot of shopping for the household items and things like that at Costco all the time. Stuff that we use tons of, and we'll buy in bulk over there. And they have a good deal going where, the price of the tire, the installation is included, which is pretty awesome. Now, I expected to be at a certain point for budget with these tires. I bought pretty good tires. I bought a set of BF Goodrich. They're called Trail Terrains, and they're designed for a daily driver that needs a little bit of off-road-ish kind of capability, without sacrificing too much as far as like road noise or anything like that. Man, I got into these wheels about $300 under budget, which is way more than way better of a deal than I was expecting. So they got installed I actually did this purchase about 2 weeks ago, and I did the appointment to have them installed. They're on. They look great. They drive great. I'm very, very happy with them. So yeah, it was a big purchase that kind of had to happen. Now I kind of have the itch to kind of go and maybe there's a couple of national forests in Vermont that I'm thinking about going up to hit possibly this week. We'll see what happens. Big plans this week? Not a whole lot. The entire household is on vacation. My oldest daughter just got her ACL surgery completed, and she has been couch-bound for a little while, zipping around the house with her little walking. She has a little walker and a couple of crutches as well. And they want her to use the walker specifically for like the first week. And so she's been kind of shuffling around here and there. And we've been making sure that she's all set. She can't work right now, which I know is kind of killing her. She loves her job. But that's good. Surgery went awesome. So we're happy about that. That's a big deal. It really is for us. That's a really, really big deal. We want to make sure she's good. So Chloe is good. Everybody's living their best life. We're happy. In other news, I hope you guys are ready to have a great Christmas holiday and enjoy enjoy the time you've got with your families. That's ultimately what's most important here. It's great to get, gifts, fishing gifts and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's a big deal to just spend some time with your family. And it means a lot. We will be reviewing our Christmas holiday in the next episode. And I'm sure some of you guys are wondering, hey, are we ever going to do this conversation on technology? And the answer to that question is yes, absolutely we are. But here's the thing. After, unfortunately, I got this great idea at the worst time of the year possible. And I decided we'd just kind of go for it. And with Joe being out of the country in the previous episode and not being able to record with us, and then having this week fall on this week's recording session fall like right at Christmas Eve, it kind of made it a little bit tricky. And I said, let's not even mess around with New Year's and try and pull this off and do it on New Year's. Let's wait till we get into 2024. So yes, that conversation about technology in fishing, it's coming. And the reason why we're holding off is really we just want to make sure that we have a good time slot to go and put this on, because the purpose of it is for you guys to engage with us and kind of, have some good conversation and have some direct feedback. And we want to work alongside with you guys and talk about all the topics that fit under that one umbrella topic. So it's all in an effort of making it a better fit for you, the listener, on Jigs and Bigs. And as far as what 2024 is holding for Jigs and Bigs, we got a couple of big conversations we're going to have. have you guys out there listening on the show, have you seen any of these tier list videos where, and these can be for anything. I've seen a lot of them in music where people will, make a tier list of different bands or genres of music and things like that. And basically what you do is you have a table in front of you where you have columns that go left to right, and they're up and down. The row is sort of, you have like a premium tier, like what they would say as an S tier. Then you've got different steps down, like an A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever. However you want to lay it down, it might change, but you'll take a topic and you'll rate them. Well, we've had conversations about the idea of doing this and including all kinds of fishing related topics. So we're going to start. I'm not even going to tease what the first one is. I'm actually working on graphics right now in order to put it all together, but we're going to put this together for you guys, and we're going to do a lot of these where our jig heads are going to be weighing in and giving their feedback with the conversation. So we're really excited to make that work. Big shout out, Merry Christmas to our jig heads. We love you guys. We love our jig heads. We want to, celebrate them as much as we can and do as many amazing things as we possibly can for them, because they're just awesome. Our jig heads, they really, truthfully, the jig heads keep the heat on here. It really is what they do. They keep everything working at Jigs and Bigs. So we appreciate you guys being part of it. If you want to be part of the jig head family, it's easy to do. There is a link actually right in the description of this podcast. You can click right on that link. You can become a jig head. You can do all that good stuff, or you just go visit jigsandbigs.com whenever you have a moment. There's a button there that says join our Patreon. Click on that sucker right there, and you can be a jig head instantly. All you got to do is subscribe. You can even set a certain amount if you want to be subscribed for a certain amount of months, and you can be good to go. And this way you kind of get the benefits and everything, and kind of see how it is. And the benefits are you get access to that exclusive live stream where you can, this is every single show, you guys get to be a part of the show, the jig heads. You also get additional discounts. Some of our partners and some of the folks that we've just kind of worked with and forged some relationships with, when they offer us like a promo code or something, we often say, hey, is it possible that we can get two? We'd like to give a little additional savings to our, like, the exclusive audience that listens to this show, the jig heads. So anytime we have the opportunity to do that, we are looking out for you guys to try and save you some cash. And there are, if you go back through the posts that are in there's a lot of posts. You can dig up some savings in there if you're shopping. I'm not 100% sure that all the codes from like early days are going to be available, but go check them out. It's worthwhile. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic holiday. If you're listening to this show right after it dropped, it is the day after Christmas. A day, this is a day, it's like, I like to call it post-holiday clarity, if you will. You know what I mean? You get that clarity post-holiday, all the insanity's done, but here we are. We're living our best lives. Next on the docket, though, that I want to cover before I kick over to this interview with Paul and Jeff from Aggressively Average Anglers is I want to talk to you guys about the 200th episode. 200th episode, we are like 3 weeks away almost. Yeah, just coming up on like about 3 weeks away. It is getting close, man. We have sold, I think, probably about as many tickets as we're going to sell. I think that's it. That's what's happening here. So be on the lookout if we are going to include an additional ticket for you guys to be part of the raffle and sell some raffle tickets online exclusively. We may do that. But we're going to obviously be taking care of the ticket holders, and throwing some bonus tickets their way as well. If tickets are still available right now and you want to be there, you're in the Western Massachusetts area, Northern Connecticut, Southern Vermont, Eastern New York, I would recommend you go visit jigsandbigs.com or check the description of this podcast. There's a link to get tickets right there. Click that link and you're going to know immediately if they're available or not. Again, the only thing that's going to make them unavailable is when the venue, the Munich House, reaches out to us and says, I need a head count now. That's what I'm waiting on. Once they say that, I got to take the tickets offline because we can't add any more after the fact. So that is just kind of where that's at. 200th show is just going to be a whole lot of fun. Again, as a reminder, we are raising money for Veterans Inc. In fact, I am going to be doing a raffle ticket. I think we're going to do this. I think I'm going to make a ticket available to everybody to purchase, to make a donation, and also to allow where was I going with this? To make a donation, but also to enter into the raffle. So it'll be a little bit of a perk you'll get by doing that, because we want to do the best that we can for Veterans Inc. because they're doing amazing things for veterans around our area. And like Christian had said when we had him on the show, that there are offices in little pockets of the country right now, and Veterans Inc. is growing and trying to reach and provide more services where they're needed. So we applaud them. We think that that's awesome. I think that about does it for me as far as introing this show. We're going to go ahead and kick over to that segment with aggressively average anglers. We have a great conversation over there. It is awesome. Like I said, these dudes are taking 2024 into a new direction with the way that they do content, and I'm here for it. I think it's great. I applaud what they're doing. I think it's fantastic. We have a great discussion. Some of these topics, like we've talked about in the past, but man, we're all over the place here, and it's just a really great organic conversation. This is also, I think, one of the first times that I've had another content creator in that podcast sort of corner as a guest on our show. Well, Armando was one of those as well. Yeah, no, I guess it's not the first time, but man, it's just, we have a great conversation too about BFS, like great stuff. So all kinds of stuff that you're going to want to check out. I'm going to leave you guys with this. I'll catch you on the backside of that interview to wrap everything up all nice and pretty and put a nice, beautiful Christmas bow right on that sucker for you. Guys, we will be back with much more right after this. Jigs and Bigs wants to take a moment to say thank you to our partners for helping us continue to push the limits of our fishing adventures and bring you amazing long-form podcast content. We need to thank Dark Horse Tackle, Omnia Fishing, A-Bay Lure, The Bay House, and The Ship Motel. We can't forget about Three Bells Outfitters, Torres Sunglasses, and of course, Reaction Tackle. Be sure to check the description of this podcast for any associated affiliate links or promo codes they've generously provided our listening audience. Again, we cannot thank our partners enough for their support. Please consider supporting them and supporting the show in the same process. Thanks. Hey, you. Yeah, you. The one with the impeccable taste in fishing podcasts. Bobby Roast Beef here with a little call to action for all Jigs and Bigs listeners. We're opening up our hotline to you. Now you can call us to sound off about almost anything at 413-324-8519. Want to submit someone for our FTG segment? Call us at 413-324-8519. Care to maybe suggest a topic for Just the Tip or Bait of the Week? Call us at 413-324-8519. Maybe you just want to give us or anyone else a little shout out on the show, or you want to suggest a guest for the beef seat. You guessed it. Call us at 413-324-8519. The Jigs and Bigs hotline is there for you to leave a message with us 24/7. Just call 413-324-8519. Also, you can check that number in the notes of this podcast. Everybody, welcome back. Another interview segment here on the Jigs and Bigs podcast. This week, I get to get a little bit technical, a little bit nerdy with some folks that create content that's truly in my wheelhouse. I've got Jeff Burlingame and Paul Glass. You might know them better from Aggressively Average Anglers podcast. They're on a podcast platform. They've got YouTube channel. They're all over TikTok, all over Instagram. And they really are kind of putting their stamp on Ned Rig Nerd Nation, and I, gentlemen, am here for it, 100%. Welcome, guys. It's great to have you on the show. Like I mentioned earlier, it's been a long time coming. I've been a big fan of the stuff you guys have been doing for a long time. I see there being a shitload of a veritable shit ton of value in the content you guys put out, and I appreciate that. And I know that there's a nation of other followers and subscribers of yours that do as well. So let's start at the very beginning, though. I'm a sucker for like an origin story. That's just always my favorite thing. I want to know how you two connected as friends. And then where you each kind of came up as far as having passion for the outdoors. Like, let's get caught up there to the point where now, you've been making content for a while, and you've also just kind of announced a major change, which anybody who's followed your content should know that you're good for this annually. Some kind of reinvention. But this is a really big one. So let's go ahead, walk us through there.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting. We're both kind of what we would call fishing late bloomers. So Paul and I both kind of got into this way late in the game, later than we would have hoped. And we know there's a lot of lifers out there who just have such a wider breadth of knowledge. So what we did is we just dove in super hard when we did get into it. But yeah, early on, like my dad fished. It was mostly big lake fishing, or he might take us, down to the pond. We get some bluegill. Yeah. But for the most part, I was like, look, man, I'm not down for this whole thing of getting up at like 5 a.m. or whatever. It's not so fun. I really don't want to do that. So I would often just be like, leave me out. You go fish. Later on, way later, Paul and I met in college. We both played rugby. So we met on the pitch at practice. Kind of like hit it off right away. Started hanging out often. With rugby, we'd have our social gatherings after the events, after our matches. So we got to hang out. We got to party a bit. Started connecting, and from there, you go your separate ways after college.
For sure.
So we split off. He gets a job. He went over like to Minnesota, right? This is so long ago. I'm still trying to draw back the memories. So he goes to another state. I go to another state. I go to Virginia. Eventually, we both make our way back to Michigan, and I wind up in a little podunk town outside of Grand Rapids. I have a lake right by me.
Nice.
I find out that Paul's been fishing. He'd been really big into it. I saw his kayak, and I was super jealous of it. I was like, bro, you gotta teach me some stuff. You got to get me back into this thing. So I had like a really old combo from my dad I got when I was 15. And he came out to my house. We went to that little lake. We went and we just plugged bluegill all day long.
That's a blast.
Got like 30 of them. Yeah, it was awesome. We were catching them out of the kayaks. We got out of the kayaks. We were just waded into the water. It's summer. Yeah. We're just like, boom, 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 just knocking them dead. Go back to my house, clean them all. And I'm like, you know what? I kind of like this thing. I like it a lot. I want to do this a lot more. So eventually, we got into upgrading kayaks and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
How the channel came about was I actually got like bullied into it by somebody I was working with at the time. They're like, bro, you're always posting pictures of fishing. At the time, I'm like, I mentor gym owners. So it's like nothing to do with fishing. But on my Facebook, on my Instagram, I'd be like, I'm gonna post a picture of just like, lipping a bass. And all of my friends don't fish. So they're like, what the hell are you doing? They're like, dude, if you're passionate about this, everybody who's passionate about stuff, they just make YouTube channels. And I was like, yeah, that sounds dumb. I don't want to do that. It sounds like a lot of work and not fun. But eventually it wore on me. I had a GoPro Hero 3 Plus from my gym. And I was like, fine. So I filmed a couple vids. And eventually, like, I think it was the 4th video, I was doing a monster bass versus MTB unboxing.
Oh, nice.
And that one like kicked off, and I was like, oh, I found the thing that like works on the internet. And then I just kept doing that monthly. And that was like my big rip video, where I'd get my views, and subscribers started like flying off the handle. I did some giveaways. They started flying off the handle more. I was like, Paul, I do this video thing now. Do you want to like be in a video? And he was like, no, that also sounds dumb and not fun. It sounds like you're ruining fishing. And I was like,
I'm an old man.
You are, dude.
And I still don't have Facebook. I had no social media, which is weird. But yeah, I had no social media, and I like was not here for that.
That's crazy to hear, because Paul, you're really good at this. Like, I don't know if it's just personality, natural. But yeah, I see him in the content, and I'm just like, the both of you have the gift of gab. You know what I mean? Like you 100% work it very well. That's interesting to me. So go ahead, Jeff. I don't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no. Yeah. So I had to drag him into it. So if you go way back in the first couple of videos that Paul's in, and they're still on the channel, if you go scroll back to him, he does not look happy to be there, and he contributes next to nothing the whole time.
Eye rolling and everything. That's
He's
great.
like, yeah, go cast over there. Like, whatever, get out of here. He's like, I'm going to go fish over here. You get bent, loser. Bye. So I'd be filming, talking. It's only my camera perspective. You see Paul a little bit. Eventually, he's like, yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of fun. And then he gets his own camera. Or did I give you a camera?
Bought first a 7.
You bought a 7. That's right. And eventually, like, we're upgrading cameras. We're doing the thing.
Oh yeah.
So ultimately, as you mentioned at the beginning of the show, we change things up all the time. Last year, we changed to the aggressively average anglers. Before, we were Burley Fishing, which was me. That's my last name abbreviated.
Yeah.
That's my nickname. It's been for a while. So I was like, oh, this doesn't make sense. Paul's like half this channel. So we just like made that switch. And then, this year we made our big move is to move away from sponsors, like zero sponsors. Yeah, I know. Paul loves my passive language. Zero sponsors. So we like to keep it fresh, I guess, on our channel. No, that's how we got here.
That's awesome, man. And I applaud what you guys are doing. I love the fact that it's like full disclosure on every review. You're not, that's a really, really, really solid thing. But the thing that I love is in a way, there is something very parallel about the way we run our content. When we got started here at Jigs and Bigs, the focus was always, I'm a broadcast guy. I put 20 years working in television. I came into this like, I'm also a traditionalist in the terms of a podcast, because this isn't really live streamed except for our jig heads, our following on Patreon and stuff. They get access to engage and everything. But I was all about just selling ads. Like, I will sell a commercial to you and put this in there. That's fine. But I'm not going to weave it into the content so much. And I've got package pricing and things like that all laid out, which is great. And it's fine. So like, if a company like Pepsi says, hey, I don't know, we feel like there's this demographic of people that enjoy fishing and drinking our product, in the Northeast. Okay, so we're going to send, you some copy and do that. That would be great. But as far as the companies that we work with, like Dark Horse Tackle, and we work with Omnia, we'll talk about Omnia together because we both do. We both work with them. A-Bay Lure Lab, all of our partners, Torres Sunglasses, Three Bells Outfitters. We wanted to work more with retailers and services, and even to the point where some of our partners are lodging in destinations for people to come and fish. That's not selling crankbaits. You know what I mean? That's not really, what it's about. So it's not limiting us to like, this is a plastic company we work with or anything like that. So I commend you guys on making that call. I think this is, I think it's genius. And you guys have always really been straightforward about what you like and what you don't,
We've always done our best, but it's really difficult because sometimes, and what we run into with a lot of times is, and this is kind of what drove us to do what we did. We like 80% of what's happening, but not 100% of what's happening. Yeah. Right. And so doesn't matter if it really doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter. You end up saying, well, this company, they do 38 things. I like 35 of these things.
Right.
A lot. I like the people a lot. Those two things I'm now in, and that's why we have the relationship we have before, which was like a sponsored relationship where by sponsor, we mean a paid sponsor where I either get paid to make content for them or I get some kind of monthly or annual check or something like that to promote their product. And then, they send us gear and all that kind of stuff. And that's like the working relationship that we mean by a sponsor, like basically pay for content, pay for exposure. And what we've changed is we're not going to do that anymore, even for companies that we still love. Because actually all our sponsors, we still really like. We still like their product. I still stand behind what a lot of what they do. And we're still, you'll see, like, we're still going to push like the mule fishing, right? Like the ultralight stuff for us is huge. And we love Ethan and mule fishing and everything that they do. So you'll still see that. You'll still see the Busbies, et cetera, et cetera. But we're literally just saying, well, just don't pay me anymore. Do not send me a check anymore. Take my link away and all that kind of stuff. We're still going to push product because we like it. We believe in it, but we're not going to do that. And then anything for the future, it's like, okay, how do we get around this? Like, how do we still make our channel work? Because our channel, a huge part of our following is like gear reviews, unboxings, and then like, how do you sift through what's out there, find the best value, and then how can you sort of like parse through, like, because we fishermen, like, you have limited money. I mean, this is a hobby for 99% of people.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like, okay, I'm going to go buy a tackle box. Well, you could spend $4, you could spend $40, no question about it. Yep. And for a kayak fisherman, $40 might be the best value because you get the best possible tackle box, because you can only take so many. For someone in a boat, that doesn't make any sense at all. I don't even need anything waterproof. My boat is waterproof. I don't need this. And so that might be different for them. And so we try and help people parse it up. But how do we make that work? Because we have to go buy this stuff to like feature it. So like, you'll look at a video, that video may have costed $200 or $500 for one video that on YouTube pays me $50, right? And so how do you make that work financially? How do you like keep that ball rolling? Well, now we have to actually do more work. Now I have to go reach out to someone to be like, hey, retailer who doesn't care about me or my brand, and I'm a small fish in a gigantic pond, will you send me a $500 reel or whatever? And they're going to say no 80% of the time. So now we have to go play that game. We have to make stuff work on our own. So but we do get to be 100% transparent. So now when someone hops on a video for us, we get to, I don't have to make any commercials, right, for any of my sponsors. So there's no commercials on our channel, right? There's ads from YouTube, but like, that's it. And we don't control that. That's just us saying, we're monetizing YouTube. There are no commercials from us for one of our sponsors. If you see something, it's because we believe in it. When someone sends us something, before we even give an address or talk about what's going on, it's upfront and honest. We say, no strings attached. I don't even have to make this video if I don't want to.
Exactly.
2, I'll feature it as I want going forward. 3, you get my open and honest opinion. Now, the one caveat I will say, if it's horrific, I'm not going to like torch a bridge and a brand for no reason at all. That doesn't help anybody. So we kind of have this rule. If it's like 4 out of 10 or better, you get what you get. If it's like 3 or worse, I'm calling you first. And we're having a conversation about like, hey, how can we help you do better and do better for other people? So we get to say that for at least the next year is what we kind of said. We get to do that the whole year. So
we're gonna try it for a year, and if we sink the ship, then we'll bail out the water.
It's gonna be what it's gonna be.
Don't worry, there's a bilge pump.
I think you guys will be okay. I genuinely think you guys are going to do just fine with that. But it's funny, like, and I think that says something about the betterment of the overall industry, because you're able to give feedback where it's needed. I had a situation recently where one of our partners had sent us a product to review. And upon looking at this product in the package, I was like, this is okay. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you guys what it is so it'll make sense. It was a scrounger head. Okay. Have you guys ever fished a scrounger that had a skirt?
No.
Neither have
with
I.
a skirt?
With a skirt.
Yes.
Oh, actually. You have?
It came in like an MTB box.
Oh, okay.
like OG MTB. So I have, though.
I haven't ever seen that. My biggest gripe really was that, you know how scrounger material is most of the time, it's like a softer plastic. It's pliable. The way that they do their packaging didn't lend itself well to that style. Really, what they should have done is just not assembled it and put the blade, so that the user can put it together and it'll be straight and everything will be in order.
It was messed up.
I brought it to them and I was like, hey, I've never really experienced this with a scrounger before, where I'm like, in the packaging, this is the other side of it. The packaging was a little bit odd. Come to find out, they're like, we're actually pulling that from the product line because we don't think that it's a good fit. And I was like, well, you just made me feel infinitely more comfortable about the situation because you knew there was something going on and you were like, oh, maybe it'll work. But that's interesting because I've never seen a scrounger that had a skirt with it. I may, after doing some digging, looked around and found that there are a few. But at the time, I was like, what? Really? I've never seen this.
It's kind of random. But some.
I do think that like your method of taking that information and bringing it to a company, especially if it's a company that you care about and that you have a relationship with, you want to see them succeed. Last week we had Brandon from Dust Off Fishing on the show, he's just been killing it, man. We had him on like 2 years ago. He's one of our most listened to interviews. He's in our top 5. And he's just such a great, genuine dude. And, you know, he's kind of alluded to a similar sort of idea of like, you know, there's a lot of folks crowding that influencer sort of world right now. And the money is starting to slip and you see people asking for way more. I think, honestly, going with the approach that you guys are going forward with, I think that you lessen the strain on yourself because there's nothing worse than the obligation of having to crank out content because there's a paycheck involved. You eliminate that and all of a sudden now you're creating content is back to what it was. It was fun.
Yeah,
There's
no,
just
that's it. That's our number one rule is always to have fun.
Yeah.
Like, and
that's what drove the whole thing.
Yeah,
this
really
whole
is.
thing was like, this is turning into a job that doesn't pay me what I need it to pay me. Because so Jeff and I both are full time. We have families, young families, and like our time is limited. So I do this like between the hours of like 9:30 p.m. and 1:30 a.m.
Yeah.
3 days a week, 4 days a week,
and all that,
plus the weekend. So
1 day a week of fishing. That's what we get.
Our goal has always been like, okay, how can we turn this into a job? Could I make this my full-time gig somehow, some way? And we sort of like try and square peg round hole it this whole time. And it's been like really painful
Frustrating.
From that aspect of it. I like what I do. But then to your point, when I'm like doing a lot of work, but I'm not making nearly enough to justify like my midnights, it's like, well, this is ridiculous. And so that's actually what drove this whole thing. And then what pushed us over the edge was like the last 3 months have been particularly god awful, where like if I open up an app, I've got someone who does makeup content selling me a screwdriver. I've got someone who does
TikTok's the worst
stuff,
about it.
sending me a hairdryer. And I'm like, what? Why am I like TikTok Shop has really pushed it? And you can even I'm ready to do I'm ready to do a stitch of one of their ad promos and be like, this is the cringiest shit I've ever seen.
Stitch a bunch.
Yeah.
Like
I'm going to hammer them because I'm like, this,
6 of them.
like, this is the problem with that. Like, no one wants to be commercial to all the time. Like, you ever see those dystopian movies where it's like the big giant TV screens, like their whole life, and all they're doing is getting advertised. Like, that's how I feel when I open up TikTok, and that's how I'm seeing YouTube is moving that way. They're changing the way that they are offering incentives to influencers and just anyone making content. Same thing with Instagram. Like, when I open up my posts now, I have to get through like targeted ad media the way Facebook does it, and I'm like, Meta, whatever. I'm like, we were like, this is dog crap. Like, I hate this.
Yeah. It totally sucks all of the enjoyment out of being able to, it now really becomes doom scrolling in a way, because you're just like, oh, there's 5 ads in a row I have to get to somebody.
Here's how I partnered with
follow.
Crest to make my teeth more white for the videos. I'm like, what are you talking about, bro?
Dude, now on TikTok Shop, TikTok Shop is always like, I'm sorry for anybody who paid full price for this. They're on sale again. Or it's like, my first order from TikTok Shop. Look at this. And it's these horrible unboxings. And
if you're looking for a last minute Christmas idea, I'm like, get out of here. Yeah. I'm not. I don't.
there, one good thing that came out of this is I actually stopped doom scrolling, because now I go and I'm like, oh, an ad, that's dumb. And I turn off the app. I'm like,
I get the ick.
I'm out of that.
That's fair.
No way.
I love it, man. That is freaking great. I do feel for you guys. You crank out some really good content, and you only get to fish once a week. I crank out mediocre content, and I fish 4 days a week on average. Like either a bank send or out in the
hyper jealous.
Dude, I like it helps. My kids are a little bit older. That's a big difference.
That's that's all it really is.
I mean, the struggle is real.
It gets easier. It gets easier. It gets easier and infinitely more difficult at the same time.
We say struggle now. I feel like now that my kids are like 2.5 and almost 5.
Oh my God. Like, I remember those days.
They're just like, Brooke is just past that point where like it's really difficult to watch 2 of them at once.
Oh yeah.
And so it lessens the burden, but they're also way more fun.
Definitely.
Because like I can do so much more with both of them, and they are developing their personalities. And so like as a dad, I enjoy being a dad just as much as I enjoy going fishing. And so like when my wife is gone doing whatever her alone time is for the day that we're not fishing or whatever, I don't even like I look forward to it at this point. Not that it doesn't get stressful or I don't get upset because I lose my temper daily, but like it's totally different than what it was. And I'm looking forward to like what it gets to be. And so while yes, I don't get to fish nearly as much as I want, someday we'll get there. Yeah. And right now it's really great. So I don't know. It's hard to
the balance. To be mad. The balance is the struggle. Yeah. It's not that you're mad. It's just you want to do everything and you can't do everything.
I wish I had 7 more days in the week. Like if there could be 5 Tuesdays, I wouldn't be mad about it.
I want to have like Michael Keaton's multiplicity. Like I want to be multiple.
Oh yes. Oh, what
that's all I want, man. Just more of me.
I want 3 of me.
then we can all do the things.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. So let's talk Omnia specifically. Now, you guys, you're working with Omnia. That's one of the few partnerships that you're keeping alive. And I think personally that it just makes sense by having somebody that one of your followers can turn to support you guys in a way is huge, but also just putting that out there as a resource. I love Omnia, and I'm glad that we partnered with them because they're so much more unique than any other type of typical retail place. And where they stand apart is technology. Like, Omnia is on that cutting edge. Like, have you guys played around with the app yet at all?
Yeah. We used it before we went down to Gunnersville.
That's right. You guys did that big tournament.
Yeah. So that I will say, like, it helped a lot because we were getting an update by checking 10 days ahead on weather and stuff. And then looking at the app, we were like, okay, we picked out our like 5 or 6 spots, and we didn't really deviate from that plan much. Once we even got down there, we were like, nah, I feel good about it. We're sticking to it. And we had like a couple of spots mid to north region of Gunnersville Lake. We looked at the south region as well. We considered it, and then we just like decided not to. And the funny thing was that's where like Team Gramps and Team Wendell went down and they hammered some bigs. We still got a ton of fish. Definitely. All our team put numbers on the board, which made us happy. So everybody had a good time. But yeah, it did help with the planning with water temps, contours, like all of that. We're like, okay, like this looks good, that looks good. So for being a new app that arguably still needs like a lot of work, and I'd love to see where it goes in the future. Yeah, it was very helpful.
It's a good head start.
We sort of beta tested. It was the perfect scenario. And when our point in the video, when we featured it, was like, this is actually the most perfect scenario for the things that this app does really well. Yeah. So what the app does really well, it's, for me, this is our opinion, scouting on water you've never been to, or it was incredible, especially super far away, because, and we tested it, like, so we had just fished a couple of local lakes like a couple of days before we got the app. So I knew what the water temps were. I knew what the depths were at, like, on that day. Yeah. And I knew, we knew a lot about the area. So then we checked, we searched our local lakes. We gut checked, like, okay, what was the depths? What was the water temps? Where in different areas of the lake? Like, it matched up within like 5%. And I was like, that's legit. And then check the topo, like all the different types of things that I would want to know going down to Alabama. Then we did it for Alabama, and we were like, okay, like, well, what launches should we be picking? What kind of water temps should we expect? I think was the most useful one. Oh, yeah. And then, like, where are the trenches? Because it's essentially a river system, right? It's a big version of the Tennessee River. And so it was like, okay, what are we looking at as far as, like, depths in certain areas? And, like, yeah, there were some gaps, and there's some funky ways, like the way you have to, like, zoom in and out to get, like, the water temp readings to look the way you want. And we showed some of that, but, like, I mean, on the whole, we knew we were dealing with like 50-degree water, 60-degree water. We knew we were dealing with like really sharp, steep drop-offs, and then like really deep water in certain areas. We knew where the channels were, the creek inlets were, and then that was it. I mean, that's all we really needed to know. And all of a sudden, like, our scouting became real time versus like expected, which was totally legit. So if you're going on the other side of the state, going 3 hours away, whatever, I think it's super useful. For sure. And that's like where I thought that's where it shined.
The bottom composition map, I think, is like priceless. You almost never see that, and it's really accurate. I do love. I've been toying with entering in fishing reports for spots that I've fished, specifically with baits that to me stood out. Like this last year, I got on. The really good composition was actually a tip that I took from Tactical Bassin, where I increased the size of my trailer on my swim jigs to a 5-inch paddle tail. And what a difference to look at the numbers of the quality of fish I've been catching 2 years previous, and then making that one change. There are more fish that are now over 17 and a half inches hitting this bait, and it's effective. So like some of these spots where I've been killing it, I'm like, yep, this is the bait. I'm going to make that recommendation and fill out these reports. I think it's amazing. But what I love that it doesn't do, it doesn't burn your spots.
That's what I was about to say.
Key.
Like some other apps out there.
Yes, Schmishbrain. I think that would be the nomenclature.
Oh, the best part about Schmishbrain is that Paul got unreasonably sappy and sour about something. He was looking at one of his local lakes, and he found a bunch of pictures on his spots.
No, that wasn't Fishbrain. That wasn't fish brain.
Oh. Which one was it? Angler?
So no, that was Angler. So Angler,
deceased Angler app.
Tell the story. It's amazing. This is incredible.
So basically, he got on the Angler app after not being on it for a long time.
Years, like 3-4 years, hadn't logged in.
And he scrolls over to his favorite little spots, his favorite lakes, and all of a sudden he's seeing some dork holding up fish. I mean, it's just a fish.
All my spots are marked on the map, like all my secret little hidey hole creeks, like back channels, nothing on nothing on Google Maps, so you could find like all these spots. And I was getting pissed. I was like, what's happening? Oh my God, it's got all my spots. Like, what the hell? And then I realized it's from when I had the app like 4 years ago.
It's all
I was
your
actually
stuff.
tagging myself from where I caught fish. And I was like, oh yeah, this is just me.
There were no selfie pics. It was just fish pics or none. And it was just him. He was mad at himself.
Oh, that is awesome, man.
Classic.
It's true though. The Omnia app doesn't burn your spots. It's just basically saying what I love is that there's that comment section, that in a report you can go and give as much or as little information as you want. And I think that is super valuable because some people are open to sharing a little bit more. Others are going to be a little bit more vague, but you can at least take it for what it is. And it's essentially the equivalent of going to that local tackle shop and saying, hey, what's working this time of year? What can I expect? Really
down to like ordering the tackle, right? Because
that was the thing that I was like, yo, that's legit. It was so clean. It was so clean.
Yeah. I mean, you go to Gunnersville and everybody's just like fishing Alabama rig, and you're like, well, I have 0 of those because we live in Michigan. Yeah. So then you just scroll down and they're like, oh, just get this one or this one or this one. You're like, all right, cool. And then you can just order it straight from Omnia. That was neat.
It's not perfect. It needs some work.
It needs work.
But they've said that, and I love that it's like, we're just doing our best right now. And for the first shot, I think it blows away a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah.
But the reason, and when we say working with Omnia, we're just getting store credit if you guys use the link in one of our videos. Like that's the whole that's the entirety of the deal.
Yep.
There's nothing else. We're not taking any money. And the reason that this makes sense for us, because we've said we're doing no sponsors.
Yeah.
The reason this makes sense for us is that Omnia is brand agnostic as much as they can be, because there's some brands they can't work with, just because of the way that business works. But they don't care about which brand it is or what thing they carry, whatever they can carry that they think you want. Yep. And so as a retailer, that made sense for us. And then it also is one more way for us to sort of claw back to say, like, well, you guys want us to go buy like a $500 Bates Hundo, or you want us to go buy new kayaks, or you want us to go buy motors, and all, which I want to do. But and that's sort of the focus of our channel. But I can't do that if I don't have some way to offset that, because I got to eat too. So it's like, we're trying to make that work. And to us, that doesn't, it's just a place for us to send people when they are looking for something. So I can give them a link and say, hey, Omnia likely has this thing. Use this link. And then I can, if you guys use that link, then I get some store credit to go buy the next cool reel or rod or whatever it is that you guys want to see.
It's a cycle. I'm curious, what are each of your favorite fishing content creators that you enjoy consuming their content? I don't think I've ever asked a content creator this question. Like, what are you guys into? Which channels?
All right. It's funny because Paul and I don't really watch YouTube.
We don't.
Fishing.
I have to look because I just don't.
And like, I think that's probably pretty common amongst content creators. Is like, you get so into it, you're already editing and posting stuff on. You're on YouTube all the time answering comments. You're just like, I don't have time to watch anybody else, and nor do I really want to.
It influences like how you do stuff unintentionally.
Yeah, that's
when
a really
we
good
go watch
point.
YouTube, it's like, oh, everyone else is doing this, and so you start to, and like, we don't love to do that. What we like to do
can change you.
Yeah, we want to make what we like to make, and then we see how it works, and then we try and change it without making it totally different. We want to do things the way we want to do them, and then just throw it out there and see how it works, and then we change things slightly over time. But like, when you watch too much other stuff, it does influence you.
Oh, for sure.
It really does.
Yeah.
There's a couple channels for specific reasons that I like to look into. And like, for example, back in the day, I used to love watching Tiny Boat Nation do boat conversions, John boat conversions.
Yeah.
So those were, I never did a John boat conversion. I was just like, wow, this is sick. Look at what they're doing to these little tiny boats. And it was just cool. So I loved watching them. I love watching, whenever I get a chance, Ethan Do Better, Fish Anything, just because he crushes the ultralight game. So whenever I want to know
he does it with nothing.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's like, I got a little fanny pack and I caught 8,000 fish. Like,
Yeah, he's like, I'm on a SUP, one rod, one lure. Let's go. So, yeah, I love watching Ethan whenever I get a chance. If I want gear nerd stuff, it's always Debo. Debo's
great.
fishing. And he's
homie of
also
the
just
show.
like, he's an amazing, genuine human being as well. So that helps. And I think that's a big part of like the channels that I watch now. When I first was getting into fishing, like at that time, the big thing was Guggen. So, you know, the channels that I knew about for fishing before you get like below that top layer, because they were getting the most views, was all Guggen. So every single Guggen member was like something that I watched until I got annoyed with them. And then I would unsubscribe. And then I eventually got to the point where the only one I watched was John B, who out of the batch is probably the one that I still think is better. But yeah, I got just, I'm over these guys. Cool. What else is out there? And I start finding folks like Debo and Ethan. And Ethan's local to us too, which makes it even better. Debo's not far. It's like, those are the channels that I would definitely prefer to watch. And not the ones where people are constantly like rigging out lifeboats and taking them down a river or using flotation devices to go fishing or just trying to drown themselves early ice season. Like, I don't know. We're not about that. When we first started the channel, we were like, hey, where's the line in the sand for us? It's like, gimmicky nonsense.
Walmart challenges and shit.
Yeah, we're done. We're not doing that. And to be fair, like we tried it a few times. I was like, well, if they get 1 billion views, maybe I'll get 4. And I got 2 views. And I was like, I'll never do this again.
This isn't worth it. Yeah, exactly. Risk and reward.
Temu was the biggest example. We will never do another Temu video. People don't ask for it because nobody cares. But when you make it and you're like, we got a ton of views for those.
Oh, yeah.
So don't get me wrong. Like, it's an easy way to get views. We did 6 videos because we did unbox. Actually, we did like 7 or 8 because we did order, unbox, and fish like the 3 times that we did it. And it was funny and like fun for us. But
I thought it was hilarious. Like,
I had a great
time. Watching their promo on their website is priceless. Like, just go read the descriptions. It's incredible.
It's insane.
It's hilarious. The reviews are all fake on there, so it's like you don't know what's real, what's not.
But you know it's all fake.
The prices are never the prices. Like, there's secret backdoor prices you can get. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke, and it's also like a gigantic company now, and they're crushing it. But the people who love Temu are insane,
ready to go to war,
and I do not want to talk to them anymore. So they would just invade our comment section, and I was like, I'm out. But
done. That's part of our channel though, because there are some things where like a resource, like a retail resource like that can make sense. And it was like, I'm glad we did it, and the timing was great. So I got to give credit to Jeff because I didn't even know what Temu was at the time. But like, I'm glad we did it. We don't want to keep doing it because we don't need to, but like, I'm glad we did it when we did it. And we will always go look at the Walmart like brand stuff. Like the Ozark Trail. We'll always go check it out because there are some hidden gems in there where it's like, okay, if you only spent $3 and it's like it's a dead copy of your favorite lipless. I'm not here to tell you that you need to go buy the Mega Bass when you don't have to. Now, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with buying the Mega Bass. And maybe you got to swap the hooks out. But if you can spend $3 and get the same exact thing for $15, the only difference is the brand. And so if I can't in good conscience tell you to go pay more for the other brand if it's the same thing or a very strong equivalent. And that's always what our channel is going to be about, is like, we are going to be, and we always will be, like the value channel. It will be always how do you get the most for your dollar? We want to be like the Target of fishing. Like, if you want to get the best experience and the most value, you go here. Now, there's nothing wrong with going high end. We'll look at the high end and we'll look at the low end. And that's the only way you can know. But we're not. The gimmicky stuff's a no for us.
I love the way that you said that you specifically use the word value. And I feel like that needs to be more in the conversation is like, I find, I'll give you an example. Like, so I dabble in the world of overlanding and, you know, truck camping and all this kind of stuff. I love it. It's crazy.
You're part of the Yoda Nation.
Oh yeah, dude, I have a Forerunner. You know what I mean? Come on, it's pretty obvious. I dabble a little bit. I listen to some overlanding podcasts, and there's one that I listen to a lot with the host Benji. He's great. It's called Budget Overland, and he's brought up on the show that the title of his show actually actually has cost him some like relationships with, potential partners for offering discounts to his mailing list. He's got a much larger audience, I think, than Jigs and Bigs has. But so he's working on a few projects, and they can't get over that word budget. But I think that he's talking about like, what is your budget for the build that you're trying to create? Like, plan
Not
it
cheapy.
out. Exactly. It doesn't have to be that. Now we know that, but to the average person, like, they're like, budget must be cheap. This must be your overlanding Temu edition or something like that.
Yes.
Versus in reality,
Careful.
it's all about the value. Like, what's the money that you're paying, and are you getting what you need out of it to, enough value back? And I think that's super important with anything. And I think that could be said for relationships from content creators and working with other outside companies. It can be said for, buying baits or rods or reels or anything like that. So, it's all about value. If it's working for you, and that's one of those gray areas in fishing where it's personal preference, I'm okay spending whatever on that, Mega Bass Vision 110. But, this person might be more down at the Provoke 106,
We say all the time these days, like, there are no wrong answers.
Buy what you want.
There's no wrong answer. Like, you can't, like, we get into this, like, so we've been doing some like buyer's guide type stuff because that's just like sort of our bread and butter. I enjoy doing it. I just edited an hour long tackle storage video, like,
for Friday.
But like, people kind of hammer us for, we've been working with Busby for a while, and we love those Busby boxes.
Oh, yeah.
They are expensive. They're in the $40 range for like
$30, $40.
And that's not free. Like, we've never said like that Busby's the cheapest option.
Yeah.
But like, if you can only have 2 boxes, those are the 2 I'd say go get 2 of those.
Yeah.
Period.
And 10 times out of 10.
Yeah. And the same thing when somebody says like, oh, I want the cheapest box, like, that's great. That's the one for you, man.
Yeah.
And so when we do these videos, there's like, we try and kick it off by saying, like, there's no wrong answer here. We're trying to help you understand what the value proposition in reality is for these products. Because Casking will tell you we're the best value. Plano will then come back and say, we're the best value. And then Buzz Baby will say, no, we're the best value. And I'm like, the value is different for every single angler.
Exactly.
I think as a kayak angler, because you're only carrying maybe at most 10 boxes if you're like loaded out, usually 2 to 5. A Busby makes way more sense because those boxes can be more than just the boxes that they currently are, and they're going to last longer, period. They're just going to, I can guarantee you they're going to last longer. So you got to make the most of your 5 boxes that you're carrying. That's going to make way more sense. Bank angler, you can only have 1. The Busby's worth even more.
Yeah.
That $40 can take you way further.
Yeah.
But if you can't afford $40, then the Plano is for you. That's the best value because it does a good job.
Yep.
And it's still quality. It's not trash. It's quality.
Oh, yeah.
But if that's what you can afford, that's the one for you. If you are the guy who does not care and you want to take a Meyer bag or a Walmart bag, like, that's the one for you, man. Like, so there is no wrong answer.
At the end of the day, what we're looking at is like the best overall value. And to Paul's point, that value is going to look different to different people. And no matter what we say at the top of the video, there's always going to be that person or that group of people. They're going to be like, oh, you didn't mention this. You didn't mention
the Titan X is the best kayak that's ever been made. And there's no question about it. And I'm ready to go to war with you.
Oh my God.
Well, it is. I mean, I'm a Titan guy now.
I'm here to tell you also that there are, I was just about to say it, it's funny. You find when you create these videos, you create this content, you find these hardcore communities. Temu is a great example. BFS. Oh my gosh. BFS.
I just got lit up because I didn't know that there's a new, only available in Japan on AliExpress.
AliExpress only.
BFS that is now by 0.2 ounces the lightest BFS baitcaster. And yesterday I said that this other one was tied for the lightest. It's 0.2 more. The guy was like, I'm surprised you didn't know that. And
that's the best comment. I'm surprised you didn't know that. Bro,
that's amazing.
We are aggressively average for a reason.
I literally thought, I was like, it's not my wheelhouse, my guy. You can have it. You can have it.
I don't have a PhD in BFS products, you jerk.
From Japan, from AliExpress. Sorry, bro.
Dude, so yeah, these communities, you're going to piss them off no matter what. So we just try to put like a little preface at the beginning of our videos, and we're going to do better about it this year since we don't have sponsors anymore. So we'll be talking about that at the top. Hey, we're not sponsored by any of these brands. We're going to give you our honest opinion on them. If you disagree with that, that's cool. Mention in the comments below. If we missed anything, let us know in the comments below. Our goal is to share with you if we feel this is good
exactly.
value. Like that's our spiel. So that'll be at the top of all our videos, and then smash that like and subscribe and all that. Of course.
And if you can't handle it, hey man, this is a Wendy's. Just calm down.
Yes, that's exactly it. I'm glad you guys brought up BFS, because that's one of your videos that recently resonated with me big time. Every year I try to like factor in something that's kind of new. What was it? Was it last year or the year before? I got into big swim baits, so I just dabbled a little bit there, just to kind of see where I was with it. I definitely have like my comfort zone with the baits that I like to throw, and they are generally enormous and float. Those are my favorite ones. Big weight baits that's my jam. And this year I'm trying to make a concerted effort to get into BFS. And the reason for that really has to do with the Jigs and Bigs National Multi-Species Scavenger Hunt Tournament Series that we do.
Oh yeah, baby.
Right. I got to tell you, I have never thrown a beetle spin and had more of a positive experience than this year. But I'm an old man. I have many years on you guys. My carpal tunnel cannot handle throwing that medium light spinning rod. So for comfort's sake, I think BFS for those moving baits is really kind of my target. I watched that video, and I think I'm going to be pulling the trigger on a Dark Wolf soon.
Nice. Oh yeah.
It's
You'll
just
be
a
happy.
great
You'll be really
starting
happy.
place. Could you guys recommend a rod that's an ideal go-to? I've been asking everybody I know.
What's your price range?
I would say 200 or below.
Oh yeah, and then
that's easy.
The other question, it is. The other question would be, what weight range are you really trying to target? Because there's BFS, like BFS, which I mean like really
ultra light,
1/16th, like and below, or are you trying to just be like in the lower range, like 1/8 ounce and below, somewhere in that range? Which one matters to you?
I would probably top out at an 1/8 ounce.
Perfect. You want the Shimano Majestic XT?
Really?
Yeah. It will. It's $115. Get it from Bait Finesse Empire. They have them, and not a lot of people do. It's a 2-piece, which is it's really nice 2-piece. It's got a super long insert. You'll never know once you put it together, but it's actually a really nice benefit. It comes with a really nice slick bag that you can put it in. And I'm telling you, for the feel as well as the quality, at $115 for something that's commercially available pretty much anywhere with like 3 or 4 different models, that one is really nice. And once you get it all set up with the grip and the Dark Wolf on it, you can go really low. You can stay on the higher end, and I think you're going to be really, really happy. And it's light. That thing is the whole setup. I have that exact setup, the one you're talking about, the Dark Wolf with that Majestic XT. It's light, and for $115, it absolutely delivers on the value. Like you'll get it, be like, God damn, this is not bad.
It's crazy because I've been looking at some of the other rods, and I'm like, I was looking at like the Dobbin Sierra stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's Jeff.
That's
a little heavier.
That's what I have. It's a little, you're not going to notice it. Like it's a little bit heavier, but also the difference is like Bass Bait Finesse is what we get yelled at in the comments about.
Yes.
And ultralight BFS, where Bass Bait Finesse is like really the true BFS route. The ultralight BFS route is actually a different route that people are starting to go.
A little more whippy. The lighter
light
blanks,
range lures. You're throwing 132s.
Not necessarily micro guides, but smaller guides. So like the Cash and Icon, I would recommend, but I like the Majestic XT more. And it's a lot less money.
It's half the price.
Cash is wonderful, and they are made in USA, and that's great. And like they should stand on business with that model because it's awesome. It's a beautiful rod.
Oh yeah.
But the Majestic XT for $115 for just getting into it will last you years. Like you'll throw a different reel on it next year, and you'll always have it around. Yeah.
It's still one of those things. I figure, especially for the multi-species stuff, which bringing that up, my goal for 2024 is to get as many folks from around the country who make content to utilize this tournament as a way to engage their following. So you guys should enter. Go for it.
I got you.
It's
fair enough.
And actually, while I'm mentioning tournaments, so what did you guys think? Like, going with the title of your channel and your show, Aggressively Average Angler. I like to think I kind of fit into that category. I'm not a competitive fisherman. I feel like we're the biggest demographic in the fishing community. You know what I mean? Like we spend a shitload on tackle because we're not necessarily pros. We're going to lose shit, you know, at the bank, and this stuff's going to happen. Yeah, exactly. So we
lose shit in my carpet right here.
Constantly. There's so many hooks in there. You don't even want to step in there barefoot.
We spend more money than most other anglers, and you know when it comes to competition, like we don't really take it seriously for the most part. Where were you guys with Gunnersville and everything? Like I know that was a little bit of a unique animal because it kind of jumped on that because it was a team event, right? Mm-hmm. That was really cool.
Jeff and I, so we mentioned we played rugby in college together.
Yep.
We're aware of ourselves. We're both like very competitive people. Like I have like that gene of like, I can put it aside when I mentally am prepared to do that.
Yes.
It's fine. It's not a problem. Like we're okay. I'm not that bad.
Yep.
But like when it's on, I will go. I'm invested. I'm personally invested.
Yep.
When we went down there, this was really actually nice for us because while we were competitive with each other and competitive with the field and we wanted to be, my main goals were actually different than the tournaments. So like my main goals were, we had people driving from all over the country to come hang out and go fishing. And for them, I knew what this was. This was a chance for them to have a good time. For them to, and I hate to say meet us because it sounds so pompous, but like meet everybody, like hang out with the creators that in a 1-to-1, like we were at the campsite with them at night. We were fishing with them all day, like that whole deal for two days. And that was huge for them. And then they wanted to also be successful. So like my goals were, let's make sure that we put everyone in a scenario where they feel like they have an opportunity to catch some fish.
Yep.
Let's make sure that they have a great time and let's just like stay competitive. And like certainly I wanted to do well because I'm a competitive person, but I wasn't going to like sell my house, go buy baits and like, you know, fly myself down there. It was like, I need to get down there. We need to make sure everyone has a good time, that everyone else is squared away on our teams, and then we'll let the chips fall where they may. So that was my approach into that one.
Definitely.
Yeah. Ultimately, we just wanted to have fun and make sure everybody on the team also had fun. So the interesting thing is like you could take it from a standpoint of as we were the team captains, because that's just how it's deemed as you have all the creators became team captains. You can take it from a standpoint of like, I'm down here to destroy all the competitors and, you know, catch the biggest fish. And you could also look at it from the perspective of I have a team of 4 other individuals with me that also need to catch fish and get something on the board so they feel good and they feel like they contributed. So we definitely wanted to make sure the teams had a good time. And I feel like, I don't know how everybody else did, and I'm not going to, you know, say they did or didn't do this, but we made a point meeting up with our teams, strategizing for a while. Like we took time. We looked at the maps. We're like, all right, you go there, you go there, you go there. If you don't produce in 2 hours, get out of the water because it takes time. Move to the next spot. Gunnersville is gigantic. So even when you get on the water at 5 a.m. You're at the water, getting prepped, popping in. The lines in is 5:45. So we're in the water. We got lines in. I know this is not my bag of tea either, brother. So I'm in there like, I hate this. I hate it. I hate it. Give me 3 more monsters. And then we go and we fish our butts off. But like, then you got to it takes an hour to get back, get out, get to the next spot. It's 30-minute drive away at least, unless you're going north to south, which is an hour and a half. That's different. Actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It was crazy. So we're like, look, we got to strategize 2 spots close to each other.
Yep.
You got a cutoff time of 11 a.m. If you don't catch by 11, and they changed lines out time too on us. It was like 4:45 early on. And then the day of or day before,
2 o'clock.
It became 2 o'clock. And I was like, we just lost 2 hours of time. So we moved our cutoff time.
So your time management's
like
completely
10.
fucked. Yeah.
Completely.
Well, and we had a lot of folks who
everything.
We had folks who had never been in kayaks before, weren't big kayak fishermen because you could qualify as a bank angler, and we had a lot of those, which is great, and I'm super happy about it. And people got kayaks. We didn't have to bring any extras, but we were ready to like service it, like make sure everyone, you know, was on the water. But we also there's a lot going on. It was a lot.
We had electrical problems. My electronics wouldn't turn on.
The batteries.
That's right. I remember.
Yeah, we had a battery die. Main Fishing had a hole in his kayak that he had to go repair. And this was like, and then my
safety flags people didn't have. Like there was, and this is not a dig. Like if you put me out there the first time I got a kayak, like I would have been a disaster. So like respect, and like some folks who are fishing out of their normal kayaks were catching like 20+ inch fish on like a big day. This is the other thing. The weather was horrible. That cold front came through 2 days before and absolutely, like we were talking, there was a huge boat tournament right there. They were like, these MFers are shut down. Like if you get a bag, you're doing great.
That's the worst.
But kudos to the app. It was great. So the Fishing Chaos app was awesome. It worked really well for us. Kudos to Chad and everybody, all the other influencers that sort of put this together and like made it really fun and did a wonderful job. And everyone was really cool. Like we got to meet a bunch of people that we'd like meet via the internet, but got to meet in person, and everyone was really nice. So it was a lot smoother than I thought, and it was a ton of fun. But that was sort of mentally, it was like, let's have fun, make sure everybody's safe, and let's just try and make sure that we all have our version of success covered.
That's awesome, man. That's kind of the name of the game. I think it's cool that it was so inclusive to like anglers of every kind of level, because that's what I was wondering, if you guys were stepping into this. Was this, you guys have fished tournaments previously, or was this your first CPR tournament?
This is really the first one for us. Yeah.
So like you're
We've
going
done some like practice online stuff, but like nothing is super official. And so this was the first for us.
That's part of the reason why we do, like when we do the multi-species is to serve really two groups. The newbie who has never competitively fished and just kind of wants to like dip their toe in it with small levels of risk. It's just having a good time primarily in learning. So like we're a little bit more lenient with some of the rules, and we do kind of model those rules kind of roughly around like a standard KBF type set of rules for the most part, which I think is good because it sets people up. Last year we did our first ever, this sucked. We did our first ever nationwide, it was almost like a catch 'em all type numbers game where we had a slot limit. So it leveled the playing field between the North and the South. So you could fish.
Which is huge, man.
It's my God. And
people don't think about that.
It was insane. It was insane. I mean, we only had probably 30 or 40 anglers that entered. The problem was most of them were in the Northeast. And that morning, I was at the lake with my trailer ready to launch the boat. Tornado warnings coming in. And we don't get those that often here in New England. Man. So I was like, all right, we're not fishing today. Fuck that. So I packed it up and I was not alone. Like the majority of Massachusetts anglers were just like, nope, we're out. And I think we only had a handful that had gone out, and it was hellacious, for them.
Oh God.
And it was crazy. So we're going to do that again. It was really good, but we increase the rules. Like you've got to check in advance and things like that. So we sort of use it as a 2-step program. With the multi-species stuff, it's great for the newbie, but it's also great for that seasoned angler that's been out, catching bycatch in a tournament. Like, I hooked into a northern pike. Well, I can enter this in this other tournament, and it makes sense. It's a good additional pot to be in.
One thing that fishing is horrible at, that hunting is really good at, is being inclusive. Like, we suck. Like, we suck. And we have like one of the, I know it always seems expensive, but we actually have one of the cheaper entry sports that you can get into because the licenses are not expensive. Yeah. And the where you can go is very well defined. Yeah. Like very well defined state by state, versus hunting, not so much. It's much harder. And the minimum entries are very difficult. Like if you have to buy a rifle or a bow, you're in it for $1,000. Like even a cheap like shotgun is like $350. So comparatively, now fishing can be $1 billion. We all know that. But like you can get into it for like $100. Like you can have a setup and be successful from the bank. So like, but how is it that we can't get females in? Like we can't get women to come go fishing because we're stepping on our own feet. And then we have a really hard time recruiting newer, older anglers, and we have we're okay with young anglers, but getting them to stick around can be challenging for us. And so it's like, why is that so hard? And like some of that is, I think, involved in like you were talking about how you're thinking about like, okay, how do we expand the horizons of like tournament fishing? All people see on TV is $50,000 bass boats. 18
50?
rod, 18,
150.
Sure. Yeah. 18 rods on the deck with sponsorship, talking about every single lure under the sun. Right. And it's like, that is such a small percentage of like people that fish weekly. That's such a small percentage. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And
like,
so,
can you relate to that as an angler?
You
it's
can't
so
at all. Like I can't even really. And so
that's so far out of the stratosphere. It
makes no sense. And so it's not accept. Like I guess all that to say, you know, we're trying also to be like really careful about how we like put content out there because we want it to be something that like could be applicable to anyone, whether it's, I've seen someone fish before. Maybe this could be for me all the way up to, I do have a $50,000 or $100,000 boat and I do have 16 or 25 rods. But maybe I haven't tried this. And I think like all of us need to do better, be better about that because like, when you think about like how big fishing is and where it kind of plays in like the outdoor industry, and you think about the fact that like as a percentage, we're still like probably less than 5% or 10% female, like that is a joke. I mean, think about how much ability we would have to have like a louder voice for things like conservation, for like more access to water, for we're all griping about like, oh, I can't make enough as an influencer or whatever. Like if you doubled the size of your audience, that would help a little bit.
That's a big deal.
Like, that only behooves us to like continue to offer the multi-species, to continue to offer live bait opportunities. We're all so far against like live bait opportunities, but like, why? And also like tournaments that are, you know, no or little entry, right? Like all that kind of stuff. We need to keep doing that.
That's exactly it.
I mean, we all know it. Like the marketing is all men. Like it's just straight marketed to men specifically. And then every once in a while, Bass Pro will put out like a pink shirt, and they're like, "Look, I marketed to women.
We're targeting women as well.
Good job, me." Like, and that's not it at all. But so like to this point too, it kind of like broaches into the topic of why is fishing so expensive, or the other one that we're going to talk about. We're going to do a vlog in the future. So we recorded a vlog on why fishing is so expensive and talking to,
or why does it have to be so expensive?
Well, how we need to stop being so price exclusive, where it's just like, oh, you didn't buy a Shimano poison rod, get out of town. Or it's like,
you don't use a black pack, you use a crate, get out of my face, friend.
The opposite, right? I only use crates, black packs are for losers. It's like, why do we do that? Why do we do? And it's exclusive on price, and then we're exclusive on gender, and then we're exclusive on all sorts of stuff. So like, I would say another thing is this sort of, I guess I would call it like the alpha mentality. I hate to say it, but like it is kind of this alpha mentality where it's just, you know, this is the best. And if you don't like it, you're wrong. Yep. Why is it always that way? Like we're supposed to be one big community, to Paul's point, that could expand and grow and create some amazing conservation opportunities and opportunities for people less fortunate to get into something to do in the outdoors. And we work with groups like Autism Anglers, where we're able to get folks out on the water as something that's fun and different and therapeutic and a learning experience for them. Talking to like, KBF, it's got the Catch 22, something that is 100% therapeutic to those individuals. Like all those efforts could be a lot better if we just weren't all dicks to each other. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of we're definitely going to do a video on that, I would say, Paul, in the future, like where we talk to it, because it's something that bothers us like
constantly.
Like, why are we this way?
Yeah.
And it's weird because the people that we look up to, like when you think about like some of the folks who are sort of like viewed as that upper echelon, even if you're just like sort of a YouTube angler, like you look at like the Ben Milliken, like he'll be the first one to tell you that like whatever everyone else is doing is kind of stupid. Like here's a different way to do it. And like that's a person that we idolize. Like Christine Fisher is somebody who's like could not have a better mentality. Right. Not only about her situation, but about everyone's situation. Right. And we like idolize like people like that. But then we also will like poo-poo everyone who uses BFS because it's stupid and we don't think there's value in it. Or we poo-poo someone who uses bait casters because spinning is the absolute best. That's the weirdest comment I've ever got in my life.
No, and all this pumpkin worms.
The only green pumpkin worm guy. Like you fish will eat anything. Like why do you need that? Like why, like,
because I
Or
want
like,
it, bro.
let's not
Why-
throw a
why-
Ned rig because, you know, it's pre-spawn, and even though it's
Exactly.
going to get
Ned rig
bit,
haters. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
so
it's just
many.
like it's yeah, again, it's weird that we like idolize like this set of people who like do things differently and are super open-minded and but then at the same time we like do not embody any of those things on like en masse in the comment section.
It's toxic. That's what it is. The video would be like, why is bass fishing so toxic?
You know,
It freaking is.
It's crazy because, like you mentioned specifically when it comes to women in fishing, that's always been like a platform that I've tried to do my best to represent as much as possible. Like we've tried to feature female anglers that are just killing it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Whether it's in the tournament world or as far as content, and they're just out there doing it, and they're doing it authentically. You know, and. Like we look at our, you know, I mean, we do the occasional fishing show, expo, or fish outdoorsman show or something like that. We'll be there, and the demographic, you can see the split between men and women. Like I get it, like
98 to 2.
I can do eyeball math. I'm doing it right now.
That's the thing. I look at our analytics. We have 7 or 8% of our audience is women, and I think that's amazing that it's that.
Yeah,
high.
we're at like 10 to 15.
Yeah.
Depending on whether it's YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok.
Yeah.
It's around 10 or 15. It's different for each one.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm always like, that seems high, which is jacked, right? That's a problem.
It's crazy. I
doing great.
welcome it.
We're doing so good.
I recently had a listener reach out to me about, you know, she's putting together some content and getting into this whole circle. And she was like, how can I, you know, be a part of the show or, you know, anything like that? And she wrote this really, really nice message about how she's like, I know you're a father of 2 daughters and you're supportive of women in fishing. She's like, I am a daddy's girl from the very beginning. And she's like, I idolize my father. He is an outdoorsman through and through and has absolutely instilled all of that, you know, into me to the point where like, it's not just fishing, but it's fishing, it's hunting, it's like bushcraft stuff, like all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, you go and get it. That is awesome. So we actually have plans. I'm going to record a segment, but she's in like the Jersey, like Pennsylvania part of the country. And I'm actually going to take the kayak down. We're going to go fish in February because they have open water and I'm going for it.
That's awesome.
I love it, man. Yeah, it's been tough for us to find, you know, just female anglers to be guests on the show. So, I mean, if you know any, point them our way.
Absolutely, 100%.
To it.
I think
go ahead.
I was going to say, I think in the first like 10 or 12 episodes, I think we had 2 or 3 female anglers as guests.
Nice.
Specifically, because I was just like, I want to give you a platform like to talk about it. Like Andrea Navolo from Connecticut. Like she is just a smallmouth slayer. And it's awesome. Like she's turned it into like her whole family. It's all about fishing. Like she gets, you know, her husband fishes, but also like both the kids, young little kids are out on the boat with them. Fishing with Becca is just a homie from the beginning of this show. She's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, she's
we had her on the show.
Yeah. And
that was one of my, that is still one of the most fun shows we ever did. It was back when my desk was over here and Jeff and I did it together. And the ending of that show is like will forever live in infamy for me.
I'll have to
when she was swiping
Tinder,
on
Tinder, use code Becca.
I'll have to go and look at that episode because I talked to her yesterday and I told her I was like, hey, I'm recording with Jeff and Paul, and she's like, oh, I love those guys. Oh my god.
There's and we would. I think some of it is like I hate. This is what my perception is. One of the problems with the all male dominated sports is whenever you put somebody like Becca like up on blast, you'll have all the dudes being like, you're only doing this to promote female. And I'm like, yes, absolutely.
Yes, 100%.
Because they don't have we have shut all the other doors, so I'm opening one. Calm the fuck down.
Exactly,
like, and that's like
man.
Inclusivity.
It's like what is wrong with you? Like they're like, I'm absolutely doing that, you idiot.
Yeah.
Like I want every single I want. Could you imagine? Could you imagine as a straight white dude, you go to the bar and maybe there's 50% more chance that you meet a woman who fishes.
Yeah.
Or you're going to be mad about that.
You're going to be
now.
upset.
Like,
yeah, that's exactly
what's wrong with you? I'm trying to help you, man. Like we're trying to literally double the audience. We're trying to double the audience. Yeah. We're trying to make the whole thing better.
Yep.
And then
improve it for everybody.
And why is this a problem for you? Like you have every other door is open to you as like a straight white man. So like, why is it a problem for you that we open this other door.
It's a victim
and
mentality.
allow women to come in. Like, what's wrong with you?
They
I
like
don't
to
know why
have
that's a
problems, man. They like to have problems.
So
with everything.
weird.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I like problems.
Some people just like
always.
to be mad.
Yeah,
That's
I'm convinced you're right, Jeff. 100%. I agree with that.
they love it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but like, social media gave them the platform that they just desired all their lives, where they get to like just trash talk anyone and everyone in anonymity. Like that's what it is. And some people, they get off on that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, all right, cool. Whatever.
Yeah, I guess
Like,
if that works for you.
I just delete that stuff. I don't even deal with it anymore. I love that.
This is our new,
just-
sir. This is a Wendy's. Calm down.
That's our new response. If you do something, if you say something that asinine, you're getting the sir. This is a Wendy's.
That's
If you
what we
get
need to
Wendy's, you fall into this category. I'm sorry.
We need
that
to
or
do
you get emojis.
an aggressively average angler and Jigs and Bigs collab shirt and have it say "Sir" at the back, "Sir, this is a Wendy's." Because I think
Going
that
up on the
sums
board,
up.
that makes it real.
Oh God, I love it. I love it. My God,
That whiteboard is full of unfulfilled ideas, but
Look,
one
man,
day
eventually
they will be.
Eventually,
fulfilled.
I'll have time. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
These are
7.
all
This'll
shirt
be-
ideas.
This will be 8 shirt / This would be a better decal. This would be.
it would be
better
way
decal.
better. You're
What I'm gonna
absolutely
do
right.
is I'll
gotta play around with it.
I'll do, sir, this is a Wendy's, and Wendy's will be like the Wendy's logo font, in
Yep.
like just off enough colors.
Yep.
And then like I can handle this. I can do this.
I love that. I love that. I do have a question. I've asked, this is like on that list of like the blanket questions that I ask almost every guest, but I'm genuinely interested to know how you guys are going to answer it. So one of the old school questions I've always asked folks is, imagine that myself, Sean the Fisherman, and who the fuck is Joe Brown? We're in that white Econoline van with a wizard painted on the side. We're coming to Michigan to fish an unnamed body of water. Metallica blasting out the windows, and we're coming to scoop you guys up like old school style, And the thing is, you can bring all of your tackle, but you can't bring any rods or reels, because we're going to take the Jigs and Bigs corporate card and go to your local tackle shop, wherever it is that you want to be at, and you get to build a combo: the rod, the reel, and how are you going to? We used to say no leaders. You can use leaders; it's fine. How are you going to rig that up to throw who knows what in with a one rod situation in an unnamed body of water with unknown conditions?
I love this.
Yeah, I knew you guys would. I was like, if there is a duo of people I need to ask this question, it's you guys.
All right. So building a combo from scratch, price not an issue.
Price is definitely not an issue. You guys want G Loomis, buy 2. Fuck it. Yeah.
You guys' ad revenue is a lot better than ours. I already know.
I'm financially irresponsible.
That's fair. That's correct.
I'm not rich. I'm financially irresponsible.
Got it.
Welcome to the show. I already know the type of rod. It's gonna be a like
Medium moderate.
It's gonna be a medium
7.3.
It's gonna be like 7.3, 7.4.
Yeah.
I got him.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
All
Yeah,
right.
it is. And then the medium mod. So the reason the medium mod.
Yeah, I'm
it's
interested.
because it's so flexible. You can run a jig on it.
Yep.
You can run a jig on it. It's not ideal, but you can do it.
Yeah.
You can run a jerk bait. You can run a lipless. You can run a crankbait. You can run ultralight because it's so whippy. You can throw like 1/4 ounce, like lower weights. But then the weight range on these things will be huge compared to a lot of other rods. So this is a huge change I've made in like the last 18 months, where I have like 2 of these on the deck at all times because they can do vibrating jigs, spinner baits. Like it does everything pretty well, and it does some stuff super good. Like any treble hook baits, it's really good.
Yeah.
So that's going to be in the river. I'll take the extra forgiveness, especially if you catch a big fish. So yeah, medium mod 7.4 is probably where I would be.
Yep. Any specific brands that you're like?
Yeah,
this
that's where I'm kind of like.
This is the problem with our channel is we try so many different things. Like I honestly couldn't tell you
to dial it in.
I can tell you price point. It's probably going to be like a $200 to $300 rod. It's not going to be a G Loomis.
No. That's not gonna. No, it would never be that. No,
it's too bougie for us. I can't even put that in hand. Like it's not that it's bad. It's not that it's bad. It's just that I can't see myself fishing with that. What I could see myself fishing with is like, I don't know, maybe like the Daiwa Tatula or Shimano Corrado. Like potentially those are really nice setups. Or I could see Cashin also having just great options across the board. And like, yeah, that's where I kind of get hung up because I just like so many different ones.
It is a challenge. Like, and it's funny. I actually have a rod that fits the bill of what Paul had mentioned. It's an arc rod. It's an arc rod.
That's also on the list of things I want to try. I haven't tried one yet, and neither has Paul. But like,
it's a lower end arc rod. It's one of the Brandon Cobb series with the camo cork grips. Oh, it's beautiful. This was recommended to me early on from who the fuck is Joe Brown? He had I told him I was interested in picking up something that was more for like moving baits. So I'm thinking like lipless, chatterbaits, things like that. And he was like, I would look at this one. It's called the One More. It's a 7.2 medium. It's fast, but it tends to have a little bit more of a moderate tip. But it like I'll throw everything from a finesse swim bait on a like jig head to I'll throw a half ounce bladed jig Picasso shock blade on the thing. And it's awesome. You can throw things. Now we're
talking.
Yeah, it is dynamite. And it's one of the rods that I throw most often. Like, it really is. I try to just kind of dedicate it more to like moving stuff.
Every time I get one of those, I'm like, I have a really hard time putting it back. Like, so mine would be the rod would probably be the Psycho Stick because it's so light. Oh yeah. And I love, and we
you mean the X series now? Because the Psycho Stick's gonna go away.
I wish it was the X series. I don't have them, but I really, really want one.
All right.
Akuma's getting rid of the Psycho Stick. They're switching it to the X series. One of our gripes with Akuma is that they like totally 180 like all their designs, and you can't get the old one because
I love
the tournament concept. The tournament concept was like one of my favorite rods. The price points were great. The ranges were awesome. The grips were phenomenal. Yeah. And those are gone. So I would maybe tournament concept is the one, but whatever, like I love all three of those series. Those series are all good, but it would be the Psycho Stick from Akuma. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a little bougie. It's like in the 250 range. The reel with and with that rod, the Daiwa Tatula, the CT, it's just you can't go wrong with it, and it comes in great ratios. I'd probably go 8-1. I'd rather make myself slow down than not be able to speed up, especially if you needed to flip. So that'll be my final answer.
Fair enough.
I would say, man, and again, it's tough. Either the Daiwa Tatula rod or the X series that just dropped from Akuma.
They don't weigh anything. They don't have weight.
It's 3 ounces.
Insane how light these rods are. They're freaking. Akuma will never get the love in the bass world. They just won't because their branding's not there. Yeah. Every time I've handed someone a Psycho Stick, it's like the reaction is always the same. It's like, wait, what? Like this doesn't have any weight on it. There's nothing to this.
Yeah.
I think reel wise, I would probably go with the Shimano Bantam at this point. And that's because of punch fishing.
Yep.
He was on our show and he was like, bro, if I could pick anything, it's this. Well, it's that or it's going to be the Zillion, right? So it's like, I mean, I love Shimano. I love me some Shimano. I'd probably go Bantam.
Yeah.
Has anyone picked a spinning setup?
Yes. We have had people go with a spinning setup.
Dude, smallmouth guys probably like a lot.
But like if you don't know where you're going, even if you're in Michigan,
it's a challenge.
You are screwed.
Yeah.
If you don't have the spinning setup.
50% chance you're screwed if you don't have a bait casting setup.
Yeah, it's for us. It's always the dually. Like you got to have one of each.
Yeah.
If we take 6 rods out, 2 of them are spinning setups.
Yep.
And then you got to just like the requirements for your bait casting is you got to have your heavy rig because you're going to want to throw swim baits and jigs or maybe flipping. Do some Texas, and then you're going to want like down to a medium mod so that you can rock the jerk baits. But then you need 2 spinning setups, one that's going to be a medium light, that's your Ned rigs, and then one that's ideally like a light or an ultralight, and that way you can run the really small jigs because it's Michigan. I mean, probably true with most states, but like your region, you're going to have those tough days. On those tough days, how do you make it fun? Ultralight fishing always wins for me. So usually an ultralight is on the deck at all times, if not a bait finesse setup.
Yeah, I can see my 7.6 TFO medium light professional with the Miravel on it and the blue braid with like the leader. I can see that combo and like I would just go grab that.
Yep.
And then if you made me go buy one, I'd be like, all right, I got to just remember what size mirror valve I got. Like that's the combo I would get.
2,500. Yeah.
2,500. Yeah. I would go grab that but I also know that if it was one rod and I couldn't, it would have to be a baitcaster.
Yep.
I mean, it's what I use the most. Like on the water is 80-20, maybe 70-30.
70-30, yeah.
70-30 is fair. I mean, the spinning setup is always great. You got your Ned, your drop shot, and your ultralight. Like those three things are always being thrown around.
The standard.
Yeah.
It's funny when it comes to spinning stuff, I always carry two. I have a third that I don't use too often, and it's because it's an oddball setup. It's a 7-foot medium heavy spinning rod.
Nobody uses that shit
Nobody
anymore.
uses it anymore.
Nobody uses that because you don't need it. It doesn't make sense.
You don't. It's overkill. But like if you want to go Carolina or power shotting, it's nice to have.
But you can do that with a bait caster.
Yeah,
you can.
You don't. So you don't need it. Like especially okay. So but as a kayak, this is why we talk about value. Like as a kayak angler, that rod has no value because you just took a slot of some of your 6 rods that you cannot do anything else with. So you're leaving at home your ultralight. You're leaving at home your swim bait rod. Like you're leaving at home your second medium heavy, or for me, medium mod fast. Like you left something at home to have this rod that you don't need. You just don't need it.
It's on a shelf.
When I first got it, my goal is to see like, all right, so let's try something. Let's flip jigs with this and see what happens. And it works. Yeah. It definitely does the job.
You can't pick up line fast enough to jig with it.
That's the challenge. Like you're going to potentially lose fish because you don't have the gear ratio to be able to pick up that line to set that hook as quickly as maybe you need to in that situation. So it's a little bit tricky, but what I found is so I have a rig in my truck right now it's two like what do they call them? Like wardrobe bars that you would use to hang clothing on?
Yeah, to hang all your rods.
Yep, and I put my rods right over there. And I have, I think, 6 bait casting rods from my swim bait all the way down to that medium, of soon to be a BFS in there as well. I have 5 spinning rods in total. I have the medium, the 7-foot medium, like the all around with the American Hero on there, which faster gear ratio. It's great. I use that for finesse jigs, Ned rigs, things like that. My 7.3 medium light, that is generally, I try to dedicate that as a drop shot rod.
Yep.
The problem this year is that I've been throwing like a lot of these, like the beetle spin and smaller jerk baits and things like that. So I'm cutting off a drop shot in order to do this.
So annoying.
This is where the BFS comes in. That's going to fill that role. So that's the idea there. I then have another 7-foot medium. This is the rod that I bought for the house for like when I'm taking one of my girls with me or my wife, or we're going to fish. There's that. Then there's that 7-foot medium heavy. That one I give to my wife, and I'm like, let's put a swim jig on this, Yeah. And she's like, okay, cool. So it gives her options, things that she can play with. I got to get her hooked up on a fish this year. It's killing me. It's ridiculous. And then I've got my carp.
With the drop shot, we're not doing it?
She's never thrown a drop shot.
Give her a Ned, give her a drop.
Give her a Ned.
Just give her the ultralight, man. Give her the win.
So
that's actually the key is give her the ultralight. With a beetle spin.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's what I'm going to be doing is giving her one of those. And I think she'll have, with that 7-foot medium that she uses, it's whippy enough where she's going to have no problems. The other spinning combo is my bait runner, my carp setup.
Oh.
So I've got a 12-foot, not a 12-foot, what is it? A 9-foot Daiwa rod and this Okuma 6,000 size bait runner that is just insane. I yet to hook up on a carp with it, but the day's coming, and I just want to catch a 30-pound fish. Is basically what it gets down to.
There's nothing like, so
awesome.
I'm fortunate. We have, family has a place on Lake St. Clair, and so catching like big catfish and like catching the odd carp and catching like sheephead, what we call sheephead, but it's a freshwater drum. Catching those, like, it's funny. Like I love doing it because like people get mad about bycatch. I get jacked up because you can get a muskie, like it can go down, which is great. Yeah. And then when we were testing out our ultralight rod that we made in conjunction with Monster Bass, I was able to test it out on 4+ pound smallmouth, like in one afternoon. Got 2 or 3 of them, and then I was able to catch drum on them, and then I was able to catch catfish on it, and that is way more aggressive than almost any bass you're ever going to catch. And all that was done on ultralight with 6-pound or 8-pound braid, and then a 6-pound leader. So it's like Yeah, you can't. Sometimes you just can't be walking into like a big, strong like monster.
Oh yeah. Freaking awesome, guys. I have one final question, but it's a two-parter for each of you, and it's like the staple. All right, the core of Jigs and Bigs. It all started with fishing stories, so I always want to hear the stories. I want to hear the story that you're most proud of, like the one that you would lead with if you're at an event like a wedding or something, and someone says, oh, hey, so-and-so says you fish, and you're going to swap stories. What's that first one you're going to lead with of like, oh, well, I got to tell you this that happened. Maybe it's a PB, maybe it's something insane like that. The other one, and I think the more difficult one to choose, is the biggest epic fail. And everybody's got a plethora of epic
I've got a million.
Yeah, it's tough. So if you guys want to alternate with the best stories and then think about the other one, you go for it. That might actually be the way that it works best.
Do you have either one nailed, Jeff?
Yeah.
Super confident.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, we can go with the best to start out. Like, all right, so I'll put it this way. Catching like a 5 pound plus in Michigan is not easy. Anybody who says it is full of shit.
Yep.
It's not easy. If you go out to like the bays, maybe, but even there, like you're going to luck into it, man. Or if you just have like a farmed pond, like something that's stocked up, full of bigs, great. Yeah, sure. You're going to catch something gigantic. But just like pond hopping Michigan to just natural lakes in like wildlife and game areas, it's not easy. So I would say the first 5 pounder I got was probably one of those moments for me. And it was because it was twofold. It was because one, it was on in the middle of nowhere, Silver Lake, Michigan, campground lake. Like this isn't a lake that you would go to. This isn't a lake that's like normally fish. This is a lake on a campground that's like a pretty nice like campground. It's like a Christian campground. I was like, I don't know how you guys let me in, but like we got in. So I'm there. I was like, I'm bringing my kayak. There's water here. They had a ramp. It was not a ramp. Paul knows this. I brought him there a few times. You basically just like fall down this ramp into the water.
Your way down through the muck.
Horrible. It's mucky. They have mulch there for some reason, so you just slide the whole way. But you get in, nobody fishes this thing, not a single person, and it is full of just awesome fish, like just good fish. They hit topwater like all the time. So like my first frogfish happened there. We fished the lunker hunt boxes from Monster Bass. The only way I got fish. The only way I got fish on all those baits is because of that lake.
Shaking my head right now.
I know. So we crushed on that. But like my first 5 pounder was on that lake. And it was with from an MTB box, a Castaic crankbait that I was not a fan of. And Castaic makes some good stuff. So like don't catch this the wrong way. But this crankbait was utter garbage. And I was just fishing this like deep ledge. And we did probably on this lake, we probably did about 5 or 6 box slam videos from 6 Cents, Monster Bass, MTB, whatever. So this was like an MTB one back in the day, maybe 3 years ago, probably 3 years ago. And yeah, like we just rolled up on this spot, flipped out this crankbait, ran it down the ledge, and just bam. And Paul was actually, it was a day Paul was coming out to fish with me. He was delayed. So he was behind me about 2.5, 3 hours. So I was like, well, I'm not going to sit at camp. I'm going to go fish. So I was out there fishing, waiting for him. I catch this 5, do, a little grip and grin, all that stuff, do the measurements, make sure I'm right, find out it's over 5. And then I call Paul, and like just the excitement, energy, everything was just off the charts. I was so pumped. And like he could tell on the phone, obviously. But he was there for me. He was like, dude, that's awesome. I can't wait to get there. He gets there a couple hours later, and we have just a killer fishing weekend.
That's awesome.
So, that's a weekend that I would say lives in my brain rent free for the rest of my life. It was a big one, and being the first 5 pounder and in Michigan and on nowhere's water and on a crappy crankbait was pretty cool. The hooks fully folded out on this crankbait. It was like stock hooks. They were just toast. I don't know how I still landed the fish. It was on one hook of the treble, and the treble just unfolded. So and no net. I just
net. My God.
I was just like, ah. So that was one of those moments. Yeah, that was mine.
Oh, that's a good one though. That's a really good one. I mean, that's awesome. Now, what about you, Paul? You got one that stands out to you?
So everyone has like their home run swing days, or like when you call your shot, or like whatever. Mine. So I was on like St. Clair at our like family spot, and my son was 2.5, and I took him out like he was standing in between my legs, and I'm like, I look like, you know, a dork, like trying to pedal with him in between my legs around, and like. So I had my ultralight out.
So
I knew
weird.
this. Yeah, I knew the smallmouth route. I knew they were chasing purple because I had been fishing from the bank and catching them. So I get my setup out. I've got a $50 rod. I have a $40 reel. I wasn't planning on fishing anything else. I caught 2 back-to-back over 4.5 pound smallmouth, and I caught still my largest smallmouth at 5.5 pounds. With him in between my legs, and both of us going absolutely bananas.
Oh, yeah.
And I have like the most amazing pictures and video. It was incredible. All in the same bait. This is that mule fishing, like, you know, our standard ultralight.
Yep.
So catching biggest smallmouth I've ever caught on ultralight tackle, like with my son in between my legs. It was so awesome. So that I'll never forget that morning. That was all done in like an hour and a half. Like,
that's amazing.
Just bonkers and just too much fun. So no electronics, just like it was the best. So I'm super happy. Like I'll never forget that.
That's freaking awesome, man. I love that.
And I get to say I've caught almost a 6 pound smallmouth, which is pretty cool. Still probably
I get to say almost.
It's pretty. I don't know. I would love. That's a dream. That's on the bucket list, is to get over
awesome.
6 pound smallmouth.
But if
I've
there's
gotten pretty close on my on ultralight.
If there's a body of water where you're going to do that, you're in the right spot.
I'm in the spot.
You know?
There are worse places for sure. I have my pooper though. I do have Jeff. We're going to alternate. So do you want to do yours?
Yeah, I think you know mine. So probably the worst fishing day of my entire life. Started out as one of the best fishing days of my entire life.
Okay.
And yeah, it was back at the old house outside of Grand Rapids. We lived by the Flat River. Mm-hmm. So I decided to go down the flat with Paul. And, you know, it's because I did that route like a lot. We've got a buddy who guides out there. Mm-hmm. So shout outs to Ted, who is a fantastic human, and he's been on the show a bunch of times. But he guides out there, and he he was a member of my gym at the time. So he like talked me into going to that, checking out. So I fished it a couple times. Once, like, I think the first time was like on Father's Day, I did a float. It's about a 3.5, 4 hour float from where I dropped in to where you pull out in the middle of town, and then like just load up your truck, bust out. So we went out there. I'm having a good time. I'm catching lots of fish. Things are going great. And in the middle of this float, there's a dam, and you have to portage over the dam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we get down, we're getting close to the dam. Mm-hmm. Things are going okay. Paul ended up exploding the tip of one of his rods.
I sure did.
He had him laying on his
Fenwick
deck.
HMG, RIP. It's been real.
Yep. He had him laying on his deck. He did a cast, smacked it. It exploded. I lost the side plate to my Abu Garcia Revo SX. I basically, like, the switch popped off.
It bent over, fell off.
Yeah.
The old side plate switches, they used to suck so bad on the Revos. So mine popped off, fell over. I was like, cool. Well, this is retired for the day. Tuck it in the back. I had a brand new combo ultralight. Well, technically, I think it was a light or a medium. Maybe it might have been a medium light setup, but it was a Dobbins Fury spinning rod with a Fluger President XT.
At the time, for the cost,
best setup I had.
That was a nice setup.
That's
like, this
ballin'.
was way early on.
Yeah.
That was nice.
So I was stoked about that. I got like maybe 2 or 3 fish on it. I was like, oh, cool. I'm putting fish on this thing. We get to the dam, and this is where things start going really wrong, because we already broke a rod. I lost a side plate, and then we ported to the dam.
That wasn't the bad part.
The most miserable portage of your life. I'm ankle deep, sweating profusely. Jeff has the heaviest kayak in the world. We're dragging it through the mud. It was at least 200 yards through the sticks.
Well, here's what happened, right? So you portage over the hill down, and that's like, it's not paved, but it's not terrible. So we get down to the bottom. I have a Hobie Pro Angler. At that time, it was my 180 drive. So it was the 12-foot
250
Hobie.
pounds easy.
And he has his
Predator MX.
Predator MX at the time. Yeah.
Paddle.
So he's got his Predator MX, much lighter, still not a light kayak, but much lighter than mine by a lot. So we portaged him down. The dam is open. I didn't know this.
Flowing like a mother.
The dam is flowing, right? And it's not, there's a bunch of eddies in this spot. Basically, you come down and you got your current ripping around these eddies. So I'm like,
you can feel the current in your heartbeat. Like, it was flowing so fast.
Yeah. So I was like, I have an idea.
This is bad.
I'll just pedal really fast and I'll be fine. So I drop in. It's like a half pipe drop in, bro. So I drop in. This is all on a video.
Immediately 180s.
This video is way back on the channel, man. It's still there. But I drop in, immediately get pulled into the current. I'm like, bad. So I'm pedaling my ass off, end up hitting an eddy, do a 180, end up pulling the 180 drive to go reverse. I back up, I get re-eddied, and I get pushed right into under the trees into this little like pocket under there. And I'm like just stuck. Yeah. I didn't flip. The Hobie was super stable the whole time.
That's
I'm
good.
Stuck though. All my rods are like jacked up in the trees. Nothing had fallen out. I was like, okay, cool. Everything's still here. I had I had a power pole at the time. So power pole's up in a tree. I had I
start wrenching him out to get him on shore, like safe, because the water's still raging.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm pulling. Like, and he's like, pull harder. And I'm like, okay.
It's like stuck.
It's stuck on his pedals, and I mangled one of the masts for the pedal.
Yeah. So the pedal, the Hobie drive has maps rods in it. These metal rods, right? So I didn't pull the drive out, and I was like, "Why are we stuck?" So we're yanking this thing.
Bam.
We get it up, and I'm like, "Oh, the drive!" So I go, and my drive is just like fully bent.
Oh yeah,
right, just fully warped, and I'm like, "This isn't gonna pedal, is it?" So then we're like, to get to safe drop-in point, then we have to go 200 yards through the muck, around trees and stuff. In the video, I'm just
my God.
Just like an angry toddler, like just kicking stuff, like throwing sticks. But we get to the spot where we can drop in. I'm like, all right, fine. Let's just finish this float. Let's get out of here. I'll just buy a new rod mast. Like they're $20. Who cares? So we drop in. Great. We're back on the water. I'm still a little frustrated. The problem continues to get worse. We get downriver a little ways, and there's a lot of choke points where like trees have fallen over, right?
Oh no.
So on the river, one of the golden rules of the river is you probably don't want your rod sticking up out of a kayak crate. They should
only one way to learn that lesson.
They shouldn't be vertical. They should be horizontal. So I go through, and a tree decides that it wants my brand new Dobbins setup. So the tree grabs it, and I actually, this is again credit to how stable that kayak was. I stood up and turned around and reached for it. I was just like, ah, and I like lunged for it. Yeah. And the current's ripping, man.
Yeah.
So it's not a good idea. But I reach for it. I miss it. I watch the Dobbins go in the water and then just disappear. Like it's just gone forever. And there was you're not recovering that. No. The water was too deep.
And this current.
Yeah. It was already broken. It was just tumbling down probably at that point. I'm sure somebody found it years later. But yeah, so I'm just at this point crestfallen, I think is the best word for it. I think I used it in the video. But I pull off to the side. I'm just like, I'm done. Like I'm done fishing.
I quit
selling my kayak. I'm done with all of this. I'm never doing this again. Paul, by the way, is still catching fish.
Yeah, I caught a really nice smallmouth, like 30 yards past that spot. Super good one on a nice little fire tiger crankbait.
Damn.
So he just kept going. He was fine. And that was the end of the problems. At that point, I was like, I need to get out of here. So we just hustled out. And I had to replace a bunch of stuff. It was really nasty, but I learned a lot of lessons.
There's a lot of learning for sure. Yeah. Oh, dude, that's awful.
I mean, the number one lesson that everybody needs to know is that water always wins. I don't care who you think you are. You are not him. You are not better than water. You will lose 10 times out of 10, maybe 12 times out of 10. So I learned that lesson that day, and I learned to respect and appreciate like current, for example, and dams not being safe and like all this stuff. And I don't know what my ego was like before that day, but after that day, like I don't mess around. I have fun, and it's not like I'm not scared to go do those things. I'll still do them, but I'm a lot smarter about it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I learned a lot that day, but it lives in infamy for me as like my worst
that's brutal.
Possible fail. Because there was a lot of fails.
There's a lot. Yeah. I mean, oh my God, the drive, the gear, like the rods. Yeah. Oh my God.
It was just nonstop, dude. I didn't know it could be that bad.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's one of the worst stories I've ever heard on this show. It's almost 200 episodes.
I mean, like, next to like rolling your kayak, losing all your tackle or almost losing your life, that's a pretty darn bad day. I know a lot of people have had way worse days out there, but yeah, for me, man, that sucks. That sucks.
God damn, dude. Well, this has got to make your story, Paul, seem a little bit better, because I can't see it being that bad.
I got a lot though. I've had my Hobie 360 slide off the back of my truck and just gouge the front lid where I thought it was going on the highway. Thought that sucker was gone. I have had just recently lids and tackle and line trailing out the back of a trailer.
Dude, almost your head unit.
Hundreds of yards. Yeah, almost my head unit. A $4,000 head unit, Garmin Ultra HD 12-inch. Just 4 inches from disaster, like skating down an Alabama road. I've had, look, I'm an idiot. But the one thing that I'm probably the most embarrassed about, so I was and there's many. I was in a paddle only kayak. Jeff and I are on the Stretch River that we absolutely love. And there's this choke point. And so we get past the choke point and I'm like, I'm hoofing it. Right? It's hard. It's hard. I'm paddling against the current. So I get past this choke point. Fish. We come back down and I had just caught an 18-inch smallmouth, but at the time was like the largest one I'd ever caught. Yep. Jeff had just caught like a 17.5, which was close to the largest he'd ever caught. We were having a day.
Yeah.
I cast into this. We're now going to go back down the choke point. We're going downriver, and this choke point is pushing. I mean, especially for a paddle kayak, this thing's pushing. But like all the fish are right there. Yeah. I catch a big smallmouth in front of it. I'm feeling like I'm on top of the world. I cast back in. I hook a freaking big one. I see it. I hook it. I'm reeling it in. I see it do its little dorsal sneak peek, and I'm like, "Yo, it's a lot of bronze!" And and then I realized I'm very close to going through this choke point, and there are sticks, and it's basically a beaver dam on either side, and I'm like, "Oh shit. I can't go through this." So I start trying to back up, but the fish is going down. I'm like, "But I can't go there." So I'm trying to hold my rod with my feet. I'm paddling backwards. All of a sudden, fish rockets back the other direction, starts going up. I can't turn around. No, I'm pointed downstream. I'm like, what do I do? And so I grab the line, I pull it down, I grab my knife, I cut the line. This is the most embarrassing thing. I didn't actually cut the line. I thought I cut the line. I didn't cut the line. So then I start going downstream and I hear drag peeling. I'm like, what? And so fish is still on, probably 60 yards upstream. So now I'm now downstream of that dam. So I had to turn around, hoof all the way back up, in, try and reel in slack while I'm paddling back up. Oh my God. I reel in the fish right before I get it in, flips off. Kid you not. Probably hands down, I couldn't do the fishing part right. I couldn't do the knife cutting part right. I couldn't do the paddling part right. And then again, I got another opportunity, couldn't do the fishing part right. An absolute crap show. Another respect the river moment for sure.
I'm gonna quote Chad Hoover on here. I'm gonna say that you did
everything right except the fight.
That's right. 125%. Nailed it.
Shit, that's rough, dude.
Wasn't great. Yeah. Not a good moment. Paddle kayaking is difficult in the river. It can be tough, man.
Oh the river will humble you.
The river will humble you quickly.
It really will, and it's so temperamental, man. Like you get some good rain, and you get some additional water moving through there that you're not accustomed to, or you get. My favorite is when the wind is in the same direction as the current, and you're like, "We're gonna make this happen." Then you're like, "I got a fucking cramp." It's the worst. Dude. Oh yeah, paddle kayaks are. I get this question a lot, and I'm sure you guys do too. People say like, "Oh, I'm going to get into, I want to get off the bank. What should I get for a kayak?" And I always tell everybody, I go, "Don't think you have to start with a paddle kayak unless you like to paddle. Like if you're there to fish, do yourself a favor and get any pedal kayak you can afford." Like you'll save yourself that much, I'm like, because I can remember when I first started kayak fishing with Sean the Fisherman, I would use his old, like crazy old Ascend FS12, which I am almost alone breaking the weight barrier of, and and add my gear and everything in there. It was ridiculous. Yeah. And I would go out, and it took forever for me to start to appreciate the wind and like actually make it work to my advantage. And this was on lakes and ponds, so it wasn't like I had current to deal with. Fast forward, I'm in my Titan, and I've got some good level of confidence there. We go out and fish the Connecticut River one day just to fuck around in this one area and see what we can figure out. And the wind was just going, it wasn't crazy, it was probably 5-6 miles an hour, but the same direction as the current. And in this one section of river, it's like 5 foot deep. And it just is hauling ass into the state of Connecticut.
Eat you up alive.
Holy shit! I think I burned 3,000 calories. Like
just trying to stay in one spot.
Yeah, just trying to. Like we went up to this one bridge.
So frustrating.
Brutal. I was like, you got to be shitting me. And it's like, it really is. It's such a challenge. Guys, this has been amazing. This is such a freaking unbelievable episode. I fully intend on having you guys again. I'd like to collaborate with you more on some stuff. I actually shortlist Michigan, Wisconsin, and parts of that area of the Midwest. I want to be fishing in soon. So if we can make that happen, I will be out your way. We'll do a nice little camping trip and a whole 9 yards. It'll be good stuff.
Hell yeah, man. We'd be down for that.
Speaking my language.
Hit up Fishing with Becca. Bobby Roast Beef throws down in the camp kitchen. Pretty good. I've gotten,
I'm down for that.
Yeah. So we'll have ourselves a good time. Maybe catch some state record smallmouth. Who knows?
Why not? Why
as
wouldn't
you
we?
do, as you do. I need you guys to do me a favor, and if you have a picture with the two of you, or individuals just holding absolute tanks, send it over to me, and I'll use it for the artwork.
We got the classic. We got the one.
Perfect. Beautiful.
The us together with smallmouth on the St. Lawrence. Yeah.
Perfect. I'm fishing the St. Lawrence this year.
Oh,
nice.
Going up to
love, dude.
Alexandria Bay. Yeah, man, it's
intense.
Yeah, I've heard, and it's like we're timing it. I think just before MLF gets there.
Perfect.
So
because they'll come through and just wreck them.
It'll be destroyed. It'll be because it's like MLF comes through, and then I think 4 or 5 days later, it's a Bassmaster event, and it's just going to be. It's going to be those.
We're going to be out there
fish.
at the right time.
Yeah, yeah. I think I got it nailed down, gentlemen. This is absolutely awesome. Do me a favor, let the listeners know where they can find your content. If you guys want to, drop any info with Omnia or anything, go for it. This is your opportunity to promote yourselves.
Yeah, awesome. So we're at AA Anglers anywhere that you want to find us. So we're on Facebook at AA Anglers, Instagram, TikTok, and then on YouTube, of course.
Yep.
So we do videos every Monday and Friday. It's kind of like 50% fishing, 50% unboxing, product reviews, all that kind of stuff, which is now unbiased thanks to our no sponsorship labels going into 2024, which is a lot of fun. Sweet. And then we do a live podcast every single Wednesday night at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. And then other than that, like the Omnia codes, they don't do like a discount code anymore.
Yeah.
So what you're going to get is every video where we have any product at all, which is 100% of videos because it's fishing. Then in the description, there's going to be links to Omnia. If you use that, we get a little bit of a kickback and we just buy more gear with that. So there you go.
I love that, man. This is absolutely awesome. You guys are absolutely great. I love what you're doing. I love the fact that you're keeping yourselves honest with your content. I think it's commendable. Another round of applause for that. I'm excited to see what 2024 has for you guys, and hopefully we can continue to work on some cool stuff together. Not
awesome,
just amazing sticker ideas,
Well, yeah, there's going to be many of those.
Clearly.
We got a whole whiteboard full. Don't worry.
I love it. You guys have yourself a good one. We keep in touch, all right?
Will do, man. You too.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Yep. Well, we're wrapping this sucker up, guys. I told you that was a really great interview with Paul and Jeff. Amazing, amazing conversation. Those dudes are great. I love what they're doing. I love the fact that they're keeping themselves honest with the sponsorship. Which is very, very cool. And they're just rolling it right back in to what they're doing. It's tough, especially when you're, still working and you're doing this content and living, the life of a typical adult, when you got a family to take care of and stuff. It's like you can't go and drop all this money, on gear so that you can do reviews and stuff like this. You got to kind of turn it over. So the fact that they're working with Omnia in the capacity that they are, so that this way they can lessen that amount, but also provide you guys with a pretty fantastic resource, I think is awesome. Those two dudes are, we kind of joked about it that every year they change a little bit something, but that's not a bad thing. I mean, their content has grown a lot, and they're making moves. They're 100% making moves. So I'm celebrating it for them. I'm psyched for them. Want to, before we wrap this segment up, or wrap up this entire show, want to give a big shout out and thank you to all of the partners we have been truly blessed to work with this year. We want to give a shout out, obviously, to Dark Horse Tackle. This year, 2023, was the first year that they had come on. We think that they're absolutely amazing. We appreciate them, all the hard work that they do. And we also want to give a big shout out to Omnia Fishing, of course, the newest of our partners that we're working with. Omnia is a great resource. You can, save yourself, 15% off of your first order with Omnia if you use the code Jigs and Bigs first. And you're going to get you remember that and is the ampersand. It's the and sign. It's not the word and. Jigs and Bigs first. And you'll save yourself some cash on your first upgrade. So maybe after Christmas, if there's some accessories you need or something like that, you got your eye on a new rod and reel, something like that, go ahead and apply it to that sucker right there. Obviously, there are some exclusions that apply. That code I don't believe will work with Shimano or Dio or G Loomis or anything like that, but that is a drop in the bucket as far as different brands of products that they've got. So check it out. Also want to say thank you to A-Bay Lure Lab, which includes the Ship Motel and the Bay Apartment as well. Chris and Christina are fabulous. 2023 was the first year that they became sort of part of the family, and it was early on when we met them at the Springfield Sportsman Show just last February. It seems like it was just like a few weeks ago. This year's gone by so fast. They're amazing folks. They're unbelievably creative. They're truly dedicated to grassroots, artisanal, everything. And they're just amazing human beings. So by all means, A-Bay Lure Lab, the Ship Motel, the Bay Apartment, check all that stuff out. If you want to fish up in the Alexandria Bay area of the St. Lawrence River, you gotta look into lodging at either one of those places. If you are in the market for amazing custom painted hard baits, A-Bay Lure Lab is your jam. You gotta check them out. Absolutely. Of course, we want to say thank you to Reaction Tackle. Reaction Tackle has been really gearing me up since I discovered Reaction Tackle in late 2019, early 2020 is when I started purchasing Reaction Tackle products. And I'll tell you what, I love Reaction Tackle. I think there is amazing value at what they are providing their customers and what they're offering up the fishing world. Lots of amazing tungsten terminal tackle available. You got your fishing line. You've got a bunch of other accessories. I mean, you name it. Check out Reaction Tackle. We have an affiliate link that you guys can click in our description of the podcast. Go ahead and check that out over there. Want to give a big shout out, of course, to Torres. Torres has been around for a long time, as well as Three Bells Outfitters. Thank you to Three Bells Outfitters. We wouldn't be on the water. I sure as shit wouldn't be on the water if it wasn't for Three Bells Outfitters. So we appreciate them. It's just, you guys are absolutely amazing, and we cannot say thank you nearly enough. I think that about does it for this week's show, guys. Thanks so much for checking it out and giving us the best in 2023. We will be back. You're going to hear us next in 2024, and we're going to be talking about you'll see what we're talking about in 2024. I have a bunch of really good guests actually lined up for 2024, and I hate to do this because sometimes it'll jinx it, but I'm going to go ahead and dive into some of the guests that we have lined up. So we have actually 3 coming up. In January, I've got Sarah Parvin. Sarah is she's got a really interesting project in her family. I believe it's her and her father are putting together a project trying to grow record, I believe, copper-nosed bluegill. And we're going to find out about what this is all about. And I've seen her content before. And man, if they're not... I don't know what the record is, but God, I can't imagine these fish getting much larger. They are redonk. Her content showing some of these giant panfish, it's like a pan for an industrial kitchen. It's ridiculous. Some of these fish are just enormous. We also have, of course, Doug Souza. We are going to be at the Springfield Sportsman Show at the end of February. It's going to be fantastic. Doug is going to be with us. This is their 40th year doing this show, which is, put that into reference. I was 6 the first year they did a show. It was ridiculous. So yeah, we're going to have Doug on. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. Of course, if you are going and attending the Springfield Sportsman Show to check out all the good stuff, you're going to see us there, and we're going to have a booth. We would just love to. We're probably going to do some kind of a giveaway as well. We did one last year. It was really, really great. So we're probably going to do another kind of a giveaway, something along, where you visit our booth, take a picture with us, you sign up on our mailing list, and then boom, we'll give something awesome away. And then I have a listener on the show early in February, actually, Janelle. Now, Janelle had hit me up earlier in I think it was early November, and had some really, really amazing complimentary things to say about the show. She's really into it. She is like an OG outdoors, just gangster. Like, oh my God, does it all. I'm talking about, like, she fishes, she hunts, she does bushcraft type stuff as well, like getting out there in the woods and like building shelters and like survival stuff, and like she's into it. She's good at it too. And we're gonna have a good conversation. That's coming up. In fact, that one's gonna be a unique one because I will actually be traveling to her area where I believe they have open water. They don't really freeze up the way we do. So I'm going to be taking the kayak down. We're going to do a little send. We're going to camp. We're going to record some great content. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I'm excited about it. I hope you guys are too. As always, everybody, we just want to say thank you to you, the listener. This show wouldn't be a goddamn thing if it wasn't for you guys listening to the show each and every week, man. We appreciate you more than you realize. Our listeners are the most special to us, and they're just absolutely awesome. Like, we couldn't ask for, you show up every single week and you download this show and you give it a listen, and, some of you reach out to us, and that it means the world to us. Totally appreciate that. Of course, any of you guys that are reviewing or rating the show, by all means, you can do so. The best place to leave us a show review is over on Apple Podcasts. For whatever reason, like, Apple Podcasts is sort of like, that's like the main focus for like what kicks the algorithm to like sharing this. So if you've got an Apple device, even if you don't listen to the show on Apple Podcast, open up that Apple Podcast app, search Jigs and Bigs, leave us a review over there, man. We would really, really appreciate it. I'd love to hit 100 reviews, soon. I'd love to get to that point. We're almost there, and somehow we still manage a 5.0 rating on Apple Podcast. I don't know how we did it, but we did it. We dropped down for a little while, like with like a 4.8 or a 4.9, and we're back up there. It's a pretty good feeling. But 2023 was a huge year for this show. We hit a milestone that we've been looking for with 100,000 downloads. It's an amazing feeling to have done something as long as we have, and folks actually listen to it. We're creeping up on our most listened to episode, hitting a record number, which would be amazing. We'll share details there. But I got lots of great stuff coming up for you guys that you don't want to miss in 2024. Thank you so much for being a part of it all, everybody. We appreciate you. Whether you're a casual listener, you listen to every episode, you're a jig head, you support our partners. We appreciate you're listening because you're hating, whatever. Fuck it. We appreciate you. It doesn't matter. You guys are absolutely amazing. And I hope you guys have a very safe and happy new year. We will see you guys in 7 days with more show. Remember, like we always say,
tits and ass, smoke some grass. I'll be stoned for Christmas. Insist on a lemon twist martinis by the tree. Christmas Eve, you'll find me sparking out Santa Claus will be flying. Steady now. With his reindeer team. But I'll be crawling around on the floor this Christmas, 'cause someone hid my keys. Oh man, I think the keys are over here by the couch. What over the couch this is too? Is that Naga hide? Doesn't matter.